Chapter 661. Boom, boom, boom. Almost at the same time that Tsing Hui killed the Zhurong Holy Man, the Qing Wei Holy Woman, the brilliant Sun Emperor, and the Black Light Emperor's attacks came crashing down. Even the 16th Order domain-type treasure, the Lihun Heaven Domain, did not last more than half a breath under the attacks of the three divine saints. It was easily destroyed. However, half a breath's time was enough. Whoosh! Tsing Hui's body shook, and he seemed to have turned into a ray of light. Before the three domain-type powers came crashing down on him, he shot out like lightning and escaped from the three domain-type powers. At the same time, he turned again and avoided the attacks of the three divine saints and went straight for the Qing Wei Holy Woman. Zhurong, Lihun Heaven Domain. This is the Lihun Heaven Domain. You're Cho Tsing Hui. You're Cho Tsing Hui, the disciple of the Zhuzhao clan? No, Cho Tsing Hui can't have this kind of ability. Who are you? How dare you provoke the divine wilderness, eternity, and heavenly way? How dare you, Dark Sun, Aurora? The remaining three saints roared at the same time. Among them, the Black Light Emperor attacked again, and a blazing sun exploded in the void. However, the power of this explosion was not a shockwave, but a light. Boundless and dazzling light. The moment this light exploded, everything within a radius of tens of kilometers was filled with light and the energy waves of the Black Sun Aurora. Even the brilliant Sun Emperor and the Qing Wei Holy Woman lost their senses of the outside world for a moment, and their eyes were filled with nothing but white. However, their blankness did not last for more than a moment. As the Black Light Emperor waved his hand, the two of them regained their senses and saw Tsing Hui, who was less than 1,000 meters away from the Qing Wei Holy Woman. You're courting death. Qing Wei, stop him. I'll give him a fatal blow. The brilliant Sun Emperor roared, and a vast and terrifying energy wave started to gather in his hand. It was as if a blazing sun was being born. This was his divine ability, the great sun's demise. Its power was so great that even divine sovereign sky-splitting could not underestimate it. When the Qing Wei Holy Woman witnessed how Tsing Hui defeated the sky-splitting Holy Man and the Zhurong Holy Man, she was a little uneasy. She wanted to retreat, but after hearing the brilliant Sun Emperor's words, she gritted her teeth and waved her hand in the face of Tsing Hui's sword radiance. The power of her realm surged and entangled with Tsing Hui's sword radiance. Taiji turns into yin and yang. Yin and yang give birth to the four divisions, and the four divisions give birth to the 8 trigrams. Holy Woman Qing Wei continued to use her abhijna. Countless streams of abhijna light wrapped around Tsing Hui. The sword that tore apart the power of his domain continued to divide the power of this sword into 2, 4, 8, and there was no then. Just as the Qing Wei Holy Woman was able to dissipate Tsing Hui's first sword radiance, his second sword radiance followed closely behind. It was like a falling great sun that crashed into the Qing Wei Holy Woman's domain. The vast and mighty energy wave carried a terrifying aura and crushed the Qing Wei Holy Woman's domain. Just the shock wave formed from the collision of the two forces had already formed a vacuum with a diameter of 1,000 meters. Furthermore, Tsing Hui's third sword radiance had already formed on the deep scarlet sword. Why isn't he affected by the Black Light Emperor's abhijna? Could it be that he's the secret weapon of eternity? Yes, his abhijna is very similar to eternity. It's violent and blazing. This kind of abhijna can't be blocked. Even the sky-splitting Holy Man was killed by him, and the Zhurong Holy Man couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. He's definitely someone who's close to the ultimate stage hidden in eternity. He might even be an ultimate stage existence. If we continue to fight, I'm afraid I'll die here. The Qing Wei Holy Man watched as Tsing Hui's sword radiance crushed his abhijna and domain into powder. It was as if a peerless divine weapon was used to chop vegetables. He was pressed to the ground and ground mercilessly. He couldn't care less about the glory of the heavenly way or about avenging the Zhurong Holy Man. He didn't even care that using the teleportation spell on the Conley continent would result in a teleportation error. He didn't even care about the consequences of falling into a void. He activated the teleportation spell without hesitation. Buzz buzz. The ripples in space dissipated. He escaped. Xinghui wasn't the only one who was stunned by this scene. Even the brilliant Sun Emperor, who was preparing his ultimate move, was stunned. In reality, Xinghui wasn't immune to the effects of the mystical sun aurora. This abhijna was very similar to his light sensory deprivation, which was why he had a decent resistance to this abhijna. Furthermore, the mystical sun aurora caused the surroundings to be filled with white light, and the senses of cultivators were distorted. However, Xinghui could use his aura examination spell to lock onto his target. Under such circumstances, he could still pinpoint the location of the Qing Wei holy man accurately and launch an attack on him. This caused the Qing Wei holy man to misunderstand and escape with his teleportation spell. Then, there's only the two of you left. Since the Qing Wei holy man escaped, Xinghui couldn't be bothered to pursue him. The characteristics of the chaos stage were the most unreasonable. Even the resurrection spell and backtracking spell were among them, let alone the teleportation spell. This was also the reason why the way of the heavens, the divine wilderness, and the eternity stage were much stronger than the other powers. It was difficult to kill a divine sage. Other than the divine sages who didn't have any items that could raise their chaos stage to the 30th level, most of the divine sages used the teleportation spell as a life-saving skill. There was even a saying in the divine wilderness world that one wouldn't leave without teleportation. If one couldn't kill the other divine sage, there was no need to talk about annihilation. Wait a minute. Who are you? The brilliant Sun Emperor was also injured by the heaven-splitting divine sage. His condition wasn't much better than the Zhurong holy man. He stared at Xinghui and distanced himself from Xinghui. He was bewildered. Based on what you've shown in this battle, I'm afraid you're not inferior to the heaven-splitting divine sage. You're definitely not a nobody. Which power do you represent? Sword Shadow, the Xuanji Hall, or the Heavenly Vault? I'll tell you if you could take 100 strikes from me. Qing Su chuckled gently. With a turn of his body, he had already attacked the brilliant Sun Emperor again. Before he had even arrived, his sword arrived first. The radiant light from the sword of sunlight brought with it surging waves of heat, erupting like an erupting volcano. The scorching power within the strike was no weaker than the brilliant Sun Emperor's death of the great sun, damn it. The brilliant Sun Emperor roared and smashed the death of the great sun in his hand towards Xinghui. He didn't even look at the result of this attack. He shouted at the Black Light Emperor, "Let's go." Emperor He Guang glanced at the brilliant Sun Emperor, who was dispirited, before glancing at Qing Su, who was no weaker than the sky-splitting god. He sighed inside. From today onwards, a new supreme expert will be born on heaven's desolate land. With this regret, he quickly met up with the brilliant Sun Emperor and boarded the Eternity battleship dozens of kilometers away. They quickly retreated. Rumble. The death of the great sun and the sword of sunlight collided in the void and exploded. It was like a blazing sun that emitted endless light. The intense light radiation filled the surrounding dozens of kilometers. As for the shock wave that swept over, it was as if it wanted to completely tear the entire sky apart. However, before the explosive power completely dissipated, Xinghui's second and third sword of sunlight tore the brilliant Sun Emperor's death of the great sun into pieces. The sea of flames that burned the void seemed to have been split into two halves. The shocking scene made the brilliant Sun Emperor even more determined to retreat. Although he was tyrannical and superior to ordinary divine realm experts, he was still inferior to Xinghui, who was second only to supreme masters. In other words, he was an invincible existence who had reached the level of supreme masters. Even though he had the Black Light Emperor by his side, he had no confidence in this battle. Eternity, now, is not the time to deal with you. Xinghui's gaze paused on the brilliant Sun Emperor and the Black Light Emperor for a moment. Then, he turned around and rushed in the direction of the three Tao Lords of the Gate of the Heaven as fast as he could. Quick, quick! Let's go, let's go. Tao Lord Su Tan, Lord Black Heavens, and Lord Mashu of the Gate of the Heaven had already retreated as far as they could from the battlefield after witnessing the Zhurong holy man's death. When they saw that, the Qing Wei holy woman did not hesitate to activate her teleportation spell to escape. They turned around and left. In just a few moments, they had already escaped more than 100 kilometers away. However, 100 kilometers was nothing to Xing Hui. In just 1 or 2 breaths, the battleship that Lord Black Heavens, Lord Su Tian, and Lord Mashu were on appeared in front of him. When they heard the deafening explosion behind them, Lord Su Tian, Lord Black Heavens, and Lord Mashuan's expressions changed drastically. Oh no, he's coming after us? Damn it. Does this person have a grudge against the Gate of the Heaven? Otherwise, why would he target us instead of chasing after the eternity and the divine wilderness? Now that things have come to this, we can only abandon the battleship and escape at full speed. He's too fast, we can't escape. Quick, give me all your Dao-carrying items. My chaos level is now 28. I only need 200 Dao-carrying items to activate my teleportation spell. When the time comes, I'll use my personal space to bring all of you in and escape using my teleportation spell. This is the only way. Lord Su Tan, Lord Black Heavens, and Lord Mashu panicked. 200 Dao-carrying items was only 100 each. Although this was a large sum of money for the 2 Dao Lords, they could still gather it if they gritted their teeth. In this life and death situation, the 2 Dao Lords couldn't care less. They immediately took out their Dao-carrying items and handed them over to Lord Su Tian. However, just as the 2 of them took out their Dao-carrying items and handed them over to Lord Su Tian, a terrifying sword aura that was as heavy as Mount Tai slammed into the 3 Dao Lord spiritual world. Even though the 3 Dao Lords were all elites in the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, they still felt their brains shake violently when faced with Xing Hui's spiritual world that had been infused with the Thorn God's secret art. It was as if someone had used a huge hammer to smash them, causing them to feel dizzy and completely stupefied. Chapter 662. Oh no! Dao Master Su Tian's mental strength was obviously higher than that of Dao Master He Tian and Dao Master Emophone. He was the first to wake up. He didn't even bother to take away the treasures of Dao Master He Tian and Dao Master Emophone. Instead, he directly raised his chaos level to level 30 and activated the teleportation technique. As a void walker, his wealth was no less than that of any saint. The reason he had mentioned that his chaos level was only at the 28th level was because he wanted to extort some Daoist treasures from Daoist Master Dark Sky and Daoist Master Mashuan. However, compared to Daoist treasures, his life was obviously more important. Su Tian, Dao Master He Tian, who had forced himself to wake up, seemed to have understood something. When he saw Dao Master Su Tian escaping using the teleportation technique, he immediately let out an angry roar. However, before he could do anything, Xing Hui's sword intent exploded again. This time, it wasn't as heavy as Mount Tai. Instead, it turned into a blazing sun and directly shone into their spiritual world. Instantly, it burned the sky and boiled the sea. Whoosh! Xing Hui appeared beside Dao Master He Tian and Dao Master Emophone. He directly grabbed the 2 of them and used his true chi to knock them out and capture them alive. Dao Master He Tian. Oof. After capturing the 2 Dao Masters, Xing Hui looked in the direction of the divine wilderness. At this moment, the people of the divine wilderness had already disappeared. He didn't chase after them. Instead, he immediately projected a part of his consciousness into the Chaos Divine Palace and stepped into the courtyard of Venerable Master Heaven in the Sky Dome realm. Not here. After glancing around, Xing Hui's figure flashed and appeared in the External Affairs Hall where Venerable Master Tsongjin was. Venerable Master. Xing Hui didn't care about the members of the Heaven Dome realm who were queuing outside the External Affairs Hall. He directly entered the External Affairs Hall. When Venerable Master Tsongjin saw this, he waved his hand at a Golden Core Realm Elder who was talking to him and said, "You can go and wait." After the Golden Core Realm Elder left, he asked, "How is it, Xing Hui? Are you all right? I'm fine on my side, but I'm afraid something's wrong on the Firmament Master's side. According to the information I received from the Zhurong Holy Man, the Way of the Heavens didn't send the 4 great sages to the Conli continent at all. Only the Zhurong Holy Man and the Qingwei Holy Man went. On the contrary, the Anisrava Holy Man seemed to have predicted that we would ambush the Divine Path sect. He already sent the Nether River Holy Man, the Formless Holy Man, and the other saints of the Divine Path sect to ambush the Divine Path sect. What's the situation over there? Has the battle already begun? Anisrava, that old bastard, he really has a trick up his sleeve. I knew it. He's used to calculating 3 steps before taking 1 step. Venerable Master Tsongzhen cursed. When you took action, the Firmament Master and the others had already made their move. Now, I'm afraid the battle has already been going on for quite some time. But don't worry, although the Anisrava Holy Man is said to be flawless in his calculations, the Firmament Master is no pushover either. Before he took action, he already considered the possibility of an ambush and informed the Zhurong Holy Man and the others of their movements. I'll go to the courtyard where the Zhurong Holy Man is in closed-door cultivation to take a look. If the formation of the courtyard where he's in closed-door cultivation has been closed, it means that he's already come out to reinforce the Firmament Master and the others. If the Zhurong Holy Man is there, given his current void transformation stage cultivation, a smile appeared on Venerable Master Tsongzhen's face as he said this, as if he had already predicted the scene of the upcoming battle. The Zhurong Holy Man has gone? Can he make it in time? Of course he can. There's one thing that you probably don't know. After the Zhurong Holy Man raised his chaotic level to level 30, he focused on improving his teleportation technique. His teleportation technique has reached level 6 and is much more convenient than we imagined. In addition, he's been to the Karma Peak before, so he can teleport there in an instant. As Venerable Master Tsongzhen spoke, he quickly received news. The formation of the courtyard where the Zhurong Holy Man is in closed-door cultivation has been closed. He's gone to the Karma Peak, so you don't have to worry about the Divine Path sect. Tsinghui heard this and nodded slightly. Before the Zhurong Holy Man had broken through to the void transformation stage, he was already ranked 4th among the top 10 experts, second only to the Chaos Holy Man, the Tai Emperor, and the Supreme God Ancient Wilderness. Now that he had stepped into the void transformation stage and had a divine object like the Originator that was constantly absorbing mysterious Yuan Qi to strengthen himself, he probably had enough confidence to compete for the throne of the top expert in the Divine Wilderness. With him around, unless the Chaos Holy Man of the Heavenly Way came out of his closed-door cultivation, Firmament Master would definitely have a bountiful harvest this time. I haven't talked about you yet. How's your side? Venerable Master Tsongzhen asked with concern. I'm fine. The Zhurong Holy Man used his teleportation technique to escape from the Lihan Heaven Realm. But before he escaped, he was decapitated by my sword. His body most likely fell into the space mezzanine and was ground to ashes. Even if he didn't teleport into the space mezzanine, I don't believe that he's lucky enough to have a son of chaos who pointed out the resurrection technique next to him. Besides, the Qingwei Holy Woman was also forced to use her teleportation technique to escape. Good. Venerable Master Tsongzhen slapped the table excitedly. Zhurong is dead for sure. The Conli continent itself has the effect of affecting teleportation techniques. Coupled with the Lihan Heaven Realm, the probability of him falling into the space mezzanine is almost 99%. You've basically killed a divine being of the heavenly way. As for Qingwei, the dust-repelling stone of the Conli continent has the effect of reversing space, but this effect can only cause errors in teleportation. Moreover, it has a much smaller effect on teleporting people away from the Conli continent, so it's probably not enough for him to fall into the space mezzanine. However, if he's unlucky, we can't rule out the possibility of him falling into the space mezzanine. The environment of the space mezzanine is very complex. Even divine beings find it difficult to move around in it. Even if he's lucky enough to survive, it's still extremely difficult to find the way back. Tsinghui nodded. The space mezzanine was still quite dangerous for many divine beings. It could be said that once they fell into the space mezzanine, the probability of survival was only half. If there's any news from Venerable Master Tsangqiang, inform me immediately. If you need my help, I definitely won't stand by and do nothing. Don't worry. If we don't make use of a great expert like you, it would be a waste of God's gift. Ha ha! Venerable Master Tsangzhen laughed heartily. The Heavenly Way had lost Zhurong Holy Master, and now that Venerable Master Zhuzhao had made his move, it was possible that he could kill another divine being of the Divine Path sect. In this way, the Heavenly Way's camp would lose 2 divine beings. In this way, the pressure on the alliance of Tianqiong, Jinying, and the Rainbow Sword sect would be greatly reduced. Tianqiong's good days were probably about to come. Under such circumstances, Venerable Master Tsangzhen, who was a senior elder of Tianqiong, was naturally delighted. Xinghui nodded and then left the Chaos Divine Hall. His gaze swept through the surroundings, and it directly descended onto the numerous Saint Realm experts that the 2 Tao Lords had brought with them. Everywhere his gaze passed by, all of them fell silent like cicadas in the winter while their eyes were filled with terror. They were utterly unable to arouse any intention to resist when facing such an invincible figure that could even kill a Saint Realm expert. The Heavenly Way has summoned you here to excavate the mineral deposits. Then, continue to carry out the orders. Once all the dust-repelling stones in the Conley continent have been excavated, I'll let you all live. I'll divide you into groups of 100 and divide you into different mining areas. If anyone dares to resist or escape during this period, the remaining 99 will be executed. The Conley continent will be your burial ground. Do you understand? Sing Huey's voice reverberated in the void. Immediately, some of the Aurus Core elders in the lead responded, "Yes, we understand." "Yes, Venerable Master." Sing Hui responded and brought Dalor He Tian, Dalor de Mo Sun, and the battleship that belonged to the Heavenly Way to the mine in the Separation Mountains. At this time, the people of the Divine Wilderness had quickly retreated, and the mine was once again taken over by Su Fei and the others. Seeing Tsing Hui land, Su Fei and the others quickly went forward and bowed to Tsing Hui with a trace of fanaticism in their eyes. "Welcome, Senior." They had witnessed the shocking battle that had erupted above the Farewell Mountains earlier. Now that the Heaven's Way, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternity had all been driven away by Qing Su, it was obvious just how powerful Qing Su was. When he thought about how the people of the Su family were actually working for such a powerful god, Su Fei immediately trembled in excitement. Even Su Qiubai, who did not know much about the Divine Wilderness, the Heaven's Way, and the Eternity behind him, viewed Qing Su as a god who had repelled so many powerful enemies. "All right, everything will continue as usual. Now extract the supreme grade dust-repelling stones as soon as possible. I brought you some miners. With them, the extraction of the dust-repelling stones should be much faster. You'll be in charge of monitoring them. If anyone tries to play tricks, report to me directly." Sing Hui said. This battle was enough to determine the ownership of the Conley continent. He believed that unless the Heavenly Way decided to launch an all-out war on the Conley continent, the Conley continent would belong to him without any worries. Su Fei glanced at the many people of the Heavenly Way that Sing Hui had brought and hurriedly replied respectfully, "Yes." "Have the interrogation experts from the heavens will palace been transferred over?" "Senior, they've all been transferred over." "Very good. Let them come with me." Sing Hui nodded and immediately entered the specially prepared interrogation room. The Thunder Punishment Tao Lord was still imprisoned in the interrogation room, and Scorpion was still interrogating him. However, the Thunder Punishment Tao Lord was an existence who had reached the level of heavenly manifestations of Earth, and someone who understood the heavenly ways would definitely come to save him. As a result, he actually managed to endure Scorpion's torture for a few short days. Now that he saw Qing Su arrive, the Thunder Punishment Tao Lord raised his head and glared at him as if he was in disbelief. You're actually not dead? Where are the people of the Heavenly Way?" Also, wasn't this mind controlled by the people of the divine wilderness? Where's the supreme god of the divine wilderness? The thunder punishment Daelord's emotions instantly became unstable when he saw Tsing Hui enter the interrogation room. Since I'm here, isn't it obvious what will happen to the supreme god of the heavenly way and the people of the heavenly way? Tsing Hui said indifferently. Then, he threw the Black Heaven Daelord and Mo Sun Daelord out. In addition, I've also captured the 2 Daelords of the heavenly way alive. With the 2 of them accompanying you, I believe that there will be people who will share your joys and sorrows during the interrogation. What's with the outburst? Come on. Chapter 663. Taoist Master He Tian, Taoist Master Mo Sun. You. When the thunder punishment Taoist saw the 2 captured Taoist masters, a deep sense of despair engulfed his entire body, causing him to feel cold all over. How could this be? How could this be? The thunder punishment Taoist master was in a daze and felt like he was about to collapse. He had been tortured by the poisonous snake for 2 whole days and had relied on the belief that someone from the heavenly Tao would come to his rescue. That was why he had been able to resist the urge to divulge the secrets of the heavenly Tao and his chaos arts. Now that both Taoist Master He Tian and Taoist Master Mo Sun had been captured alive, it was obvious that the heavenly Tao's rescue had failed. When he thought of the consequences, he felt as though his spine had been pulled out. He could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground. Bring him in and interrogate him properly. We have to get everything we need out of him. Tsing Hui said to Poison Scorpion. Poison Scorpion responded respectfully and quickly brought the thunder punishment Taoist master to another room to continue the interrogation. Swoosh! After the thunder punishment Taoist master left, Tsing Hui shot a sword intent into the Taoist master He Tian's spiritual world. Instantly, the Taoist master's face was filled with fear as he quickly regained his senses. When he saw Tsing Hui, his pupils shrank as though a trace of fear flashed across his eyes. However, he quickly forced himself to calm down and said in a threatening manner, "It seems like you really intend to fight to the death with the heavenly Tao. However, are you sure you can withstand the wrath of the heavenly Tao?" Taoist Master He Tian, it seems like you haven't recognized me yet. Tsing Hui looked indifferent. The Taoist Master He Tian frowned as he stared at Tsing Hui for a moment. He really couldn't think of anyone he knew who was as monstrous as the person in front of him. He looked like he was only at the divine realm, and was at most at the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. However, his combat strength had reached such a level that even a divine realm powerhouse was no match for him. It would be better if he had secretly refined an 18th grade divine weapon into his body. However, if he had relied on his own abilities to go against the divine realm, wouldn't that mean he had awakened a supreme divine ability? Once such a terrifying existence who possessed supreme divine abilities broke through to the divine realm, even if the chaotic holy man had reached the vacuum-shattering realm, it would not be easy to take him down. Taoist Master Black Heaven, you are indeed busy. Then, let me remind you that you once sent a golden core incarnation to create evolve mysterious sect in Eastern Wasteland. Tsing Hui said. As soon as he finished speaking, Taoist Master Black Heaven, who had forced himself to calm down, suddenly narrowed his eyes. His breathing became rapid, and his face was filled with shock. "It's you? You're that kid called Tsing Hui? Impossible. Impossible. That incident happened only a few years ago. At that time, you weren't even in the Golden Core realm. How could you possibly cultivate a divine ability in just a few years? Moreover, the avatar I sent down had already killed you, and because I knew that you had a Class 10 recovery ability, I purposely ground your bones and scattered your ashes. Even a resurrection spell wouldn't be able to resurrect a living being without a trace. How could you be that person? Perhaps it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. The resurrection art cannot resurrect a person who has been burned to ashes. But what about the backtrack art? Backtrack art. A backtrack art that can only be possessed by a level 40 chaotic holy man. You. Taoist Master Black Heaven's eyes widened. Sing Hui looked coldly at Taoist Master Black Heaven. That day, I said that I would take revenge, and now I've done it. Taoist Master Black Heaven, you're now in my hands. I hope that you can hold on for 2 or 3 days like Taoist Master Thunder Punishment. Don't give in too quickly, otherwise I'm afraid I'll miss out on a lot of fun. As he spoke, Su Fei had brought the two of them directly to the interrogation room and bowed respectfully. Take them away. I want to squeeze out every valuable thing from them. Sing Hui said. Taoist Master Black Heaven's eyes flashed with despair. Disciple Zhu Zhao, you're from Heaven Dome? But don't be complacent. Heaven Dao will never let Heaven Dome go. Wu Leakless Holy Man has already set a trap. Now, Master Firmament from Heaven Dome, Sword Master Bai Hung, and Sword Master Long Rainbow from Rainbow Sword Sect, and Sword Master Yuing from Sword Shadow have all fallen into Master Firmament's trap. The best outcome for these people is to fall into the Void Mezzanine, and they might even be caught by us. When that happens, Heaven Dome will not be able to escape the fate of destruction. Is that so? Then I don't mind telling you a piece of news. After knowing that Wu Leakless Holy Man has set a trap, Master Zhu Zhao of Heaven Dome has already gone to support him. The trap set by Wu Leakless Holy Man may be able to trap Master Firmament, Sword Master Bai Hung, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yuing. But what about Master Zhu Zhao? Zhu Zhao? He recovered? Not only did he recover, but he also benefited from the disaster and broke through to the Insightful Void Realm. Insightful Void Realm. Zhu Zhao of the Insightful Void Realm. This news immediately caused Dao and Master He Tian to break down. No, impossible, impossible. How can Zhu Zhao advance to the Insightful Void Realm? Take them away. Sing Hui waved his hand. The two interrogators quickly took He Tian and Mo Xin away and interrogated them separately. Just at this moment, Sing Hui seemed to sense something. Suddenly, he shifted his consciousness to the Sky Dome realm in the Primal Chaos Shrine. The moment he entered the Sky Dome realm, he immediately saw the flustered Master Tsongjun. Clearly, it was Master Tsongjun who contacted him earlier. When Master Tsongjun saw Sing Hui arrive, he quickly asked, Sing Hui, how are things going on your side? I've already dealt with most of them. However, there are still some loose ends that require someone to oversee. After Sing Hui finished speaking, he noticed the strange expression on Master Tsongjun's face. He quickly asked, what happened? Something unexpected happened. We lost contact with Master Firmament and Master Zhu Zhao at the same time. Sing Hui was slightly shocked. What's going on? Could it be because they're fighting with Wu Lu Holy Man, Styx River Holy Man, Wu Se Holy Man, and the others? They can't reply to your message? If that's the case, then that's great. I've already contacted the Wind Wing Sword Saint and Elder Fu Chu from the Sword Shadow Sect in the Primal Chaos Shrine. I've asked them to contact Bai Hung, Long Rainbow, and Yuing. I hope they haven't lost contact with us. Whoosh. After Master Tsongjun finished speaking, two figures appeared in the Primal Chaos Shrine. They were the Wind Wing Sword Saint and Elder Fu Chu. Seeing their worried expressions, Master Tsongjun's heart sank. However, he immediately asked, how is it? Can you contact Sword Master Bai Hung, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yuing? We can't contact them. Yuing hasn't replied either. The Wind Wing Sword Saint and Elder Fu Chu said. Could it be that their battle has reached its climax, so they can't be distracted? After all, the Heavenly Tao has a total of 7 great sages. Among them is an existence that far surpasses ordinary great sages like Holy Man Ming He. Even if we have esteemed Zhu Zhao on our side, it shouldn't be easy to defeat them. The Wind Wing Sword Saint said. That's not possible. Zongjun Exalted Master looked at Sword Saint Feng Yi and Elder Fu Chu and said, the others may have to focus on the battle and can't be distracted, but Zhu Zhao won't be out of touch for a long time. There's one thing that you don't know. Not long ago, Zhu Zhao reached the Insightful Void Realm and reached the Insightful Void Realm. He's different from Chaos Holy Master. Once he reaches the insightful void realm, his battle strength will soar several times. Not to mention that he has Firmament, Sword Master by Hung, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yuing by his side. Even without them, Zhu Zhao, who is at the insightful void realm, can suppress the 7 saints of the heavenly way by himself. Paradise Void Stage. Master Zhu Zhao has reached the Paradise Void Stage. This is too unbelievable. Once Master Zhu Zhao enters the Paradise Void Stage, won't he be invincible? From now on, who in the Divine Wilderness can be his match? The Wind-Winged Sword Saint and Elder Fu Chu were both shocked and delighted by this news. Now that they had formed an alliance with Song Qiong to fight against the Way of the Heavens, the stronger Song Qiong was, the better. Moreover, Song Qiong's style of doing things was different from the Way of the Heavens, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness. Even if Song Qiong was as strong as the Way of the Heavens, the Eternal, and the Divine Wilderness, he wouldn't be too harsh on his allies. Now is not the time to discuss these matters. We must find out what happened as soon as possible. Wind-Winged Sword Saint. The Causal Peak battlefield is the closest to your Rainbow Sword Sect. The Rainbow Sword Sect should send some Sword Saint-level experts as soon as possible to investigate. Okay, the Wind-Winged Sword Saint nodded seriously. The Causal Peak is only 6,000 kilometers away from the Rainbow Sword Sect. If the Rainbow Sword Sect sends a powerful figure, we'll receive news in at most an hour. Song Zhun said, there must be someone on the Kongli continent. Otherwise, the people of the Eternal and the Divine Wilderness haven't gone far, and the Way of the Heavens is still on the Kongli continent. There will definitely be chaos. You should send a powerful figure as soon as possible to replace me on the Kongli continent and let me return to the Divine Wilderness. Sing Hui said seriously. A powerful figure? Song Zhun looked at Sing Hui. 200,000 low-grade Li Chun stones, 30,000 high-grade Li Chun stones, and 4,000 peerless-grade Li Chun stones. This is a huge sum of 5,000 to 6,000 Dao ripples. Without 1 or 2 divine sages, how can one powerful figure hold down the fort? Send a sword-bearer? No. Song Zhun shook his head. There must be a saint-level battle force in the headquarters. Otherwise, once someone invades and destroys the mountain protecting formation, we will become rootless duckweeds. When the time comes and the other party wants to deal with us, we can only passively take a beating. Speaking of this, he also persuaded. Zhu Zhao Venerable has now stepped into the insightful emptiness realm. With Zhu Zhao Venerable around, there shouldn't be any problems. Hearing this, Sing Hui could only nod. In less than an hour, news finally came from Sword Saint Feng Yi. News has come back. Red Rock's Sword Saint arrived at the battlefield at the fastest speed. Now the Karma Peak is in full swing. But according to him, the Way of the Heavens has not only the 7 great sages, but also the 9 supremes, including Lord of Heaven Heartless. Lord of Heaven Heartless? Lord of Heaven Heartless of the Grand Supreme? Song Zhun was slightly startled, but then he was relieved. Lord of Heaven Heartless can be classified as the 3rd type of divine sages. He is a person of the Grand Supreme. It seems that the Way of the Heavens has not only mobilized the power of the divine Tao, but also the power of the Grand Supreme. The 9 great sages, including Wu Qing and Mingyi, are also included. No wonder Zhu Zhao Venerable, Firmament Venerable, and the others are fighting so hard and have no time to care about other things. So he made a false alarm. After that, he turned to Sing Hui again. The anxiety on his face faded by half. He smiled and said, although the Way of the Heavens has mobilized the power of the Grand Supreme, but at best, it can only barely resist Zhu Zhao Venerable. Unfortunately, I'm afraid the result of this battle will not be as glorious as we imagined. Wu Lu, this old man, is indeed meticulous. Even if we use Zhu Zhao Venerable as our trump card, we still can't gain much advantage. Chapter 664. Sing Hui felt rather regretful after hearing this. Fortunately, there was no major issue here. Sing Hui, You have to make arrangements on your side as soon as possible. I will help you contact a Void Walker and ask him to bring people to the island at the edge of the Conley continent, and then to the Conley continent. These are dust-repelling stones with 5 to 6,000 Taoist rhymes. The sooner you excavate them, the better. Otherwise, I'm afraid that in the face of such a huge prophet, the Tai Emperor, the Chaos Holy Man, and the Supreme God Ancient Barons, who are invincible in the Void Realm, will not be able to resist coming out of seclusion and make a move on these dust-repelling stones. I understand. I have many people from the Heavenly Tao under me, and I will urge them to excavate as soon as possible. If the Heavenly Tao can send a few thousand more Saint-level members over, I am confident that we can excavate the important part of the dust-repelling stones in half a month. Okay, I will arrange it now. Master Tsongjin nodded. Immediately, Qing Su left the Chaos Divine Hall and summoned Su Fei again. Bring everyone from the other mines here. We need to excavate this mine as soon as possible. Yes, Senior. Su Fei answered respectfully and quickly did as he was told. Xing Hui nodded and patrolled the mines again. However, after one round, he vaguely felt that something was wrong, as if he was being spied on. Frowning, Xing Hui went directly to a group of buildings, activated the shadowless stance, and completely concealed his aura. Then he used the Spirit Wanderer technique to manifest his primordial spirit, rose into the air, and used the aura examination technique to look in all directions. Soon, Xing Hui understood where this feeling of being spied on came from. For 1,000 kilometers away, there were 2 majestic auras that went straight into the clouds. They were mighty and mighty, like the scorching sun hanging in the void, clearly visible. In addition, in another area more than 6,000 kilometers away, there were also 4 auras intertwined. Although they were not as mighty and magnificent as the 2 auras, they were not weak either. People from the eternal and divine wilderness. I spared their lives, but they dare to hide and not leave. Xing Hui's expression suddenly turned cold. In the next moment, his primordial spirit returned to his body, and then his figure rose into the air, like a stream of light. He tore through the sky in an instant and whizzed toward the eternal realm with unbelievable speed. At that moment, the eternal battleship seemed to have left, but Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun and Emperor Lord Blacklight stayed behind alone. At this moment, Monarch Blacklight was using a special treasure to monitor the entire Bieli mountain range. When he sensed the sword light shooting out from the Bieli mountain range, Monarch Blacklight's expression immediately changed. Oh no, he discovered us. Discovered? Is he still in the mood to deal with us? Could it be that they hadn't received the news yet? I remember that the White Rainbow Sword Sect is only 6,000 kilometers away from the battlefield, right? If the White Rainbow Sword Sect's reaction is so slow, then it wouldn't be strange for them to be destroyed in the end. The Brilliant Sun Emperor frowned, but he still said, "All right, this child's combat strength is astonishing. My Yuan Qi has yet to recover, so it's indeed inappropriate for me to fight him head-on. Let's avoid him first." Monarch Blacklight and Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun nodded, then leaped and left quickly. However, in just a moment, when they sensed the rapidly approaching sharp and blazing aura, the 2 Eternal Saint powerhouses' expressions changed. So fast. What a fast flying speed. This flying speed. Oh no, let's go. Let's go. The Brilliant Sun Emperor's expression darkened, and he quickly accelerated. However, they had only accelerated for a moment. When they sensed the terrifying aura approaching at twice their speed, they helplessly stopped. We can't escape. Oomph. If we can't escape, then so be it. We, the Eternal Realm, are not to be trifled with. At most, we'll spend 100 Taoist rhymes to use the teleportation technique to escape. However, if he really dares to force us to that point, we'll have a grudge. When Zhu Zhao, Heaven Dome, and the rest are all wiped out, I'll see how Heaven Dome can still be arrogant. The Blacklight Emperor and the Bright Sun Emperor both stopped. They looked at Qing Su, who had shot over like a bolt of lightning, and their faces were cold. Brilliant Sun, Blacklight, the 2 of you are so bold. Since you don't want to leave normally, let me send you on your way. Rumble. A powerful sound wave accompanied by a violent sonic boom rapidly spread. In the roar, Sing Hui's figure instantly appeared in front of Monarch Blacklight and Monarch Blacklight. Then the Scarlet Abyss sword vibrated. Without any nonsense, a bright light condensed on the sword. Sunburst. Lunatic. Bastards. You Tianxiong Empire are courting death. Monarch Blacklight and Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun saw that Sing Hui did not say anything and directly drew his sword to attack. They immediately roared in anger and at the same time activated their respective divine abilities. Under the effect of the domain power, it was like a surging tsunami that collided with the falling sword light. The collision between the sword light and the domain was like a meteor falling into the sea. In an instant, intense light and monstrous waves were set off. However, before the monstrous waves could spread in all directions, the second and third meteors had already fallen, evaporating the vast sea with an unstoppable force. Without the obstruction of the sea, the remaining fourth and fifth meteors immediately tore through everything in front of them and engulfed Emperor Blacklight and Monarch Blacklight. Monarch Blacklight was so shocked that he had to burn the origin of his domain to unleash a stronger domain to resist. His swordsmanship is too powerful. We can't block it. Monarch Blacklight said anxiously. Damn it. Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun's expression was gloomy. Previously, when the four great sages joined forces to deal with Sing Hui, they did not feel much. Now that Sing Hui was venting his anger on the two of them, they immediately felt the terror of the sword of the sunburst. The thunderous attacks continued to explode crazily and directly tore apart the domain power that he, a saint, was so proud of. When others attacked the enemy's city or domain, they used cannonballs to bombard the ground. However, he directly used nuclear bombs and even bombarded them with nuclear bombs. Such an unreasonable way of fighting made the two great sages suffer. I'm afraid that even the Jade Emperor Holy Man and the Bottomless Chasm Holy Master are inferior to him. Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun said bitterly. Crazy, crazy. Chot Sing Hui, you're not saving your people from Heaven Dome, Baong Sword Sect, and Sword Shadow. What's the meaning of this? Could it be that you want to watch as the people of Sky Vault, Rainbow Sword Sect, and Shadow Sword all die? Monarch Blacklight, who was burning the origin of his domain, but was still being torn apart by Sing Hui, roared furiously. Sing Hui paused for a moment, then laughed coldly, saving the people from Heaven Dome, Baong Sword Sect, and Sword Shadow? You're talking about the trap set by the Anisrava Holy Man? Unfortunately, he doesn't know that I, Venerable Zhu Zhao of Heaven Dome, will personally go there. With Venerable Zhu Zhao around, even if the Anisrava Holy Man's calculations are accurate, he won't be able to escape the fate of being overturned by Heaven Dome. You don't know? Don't tell me that the Baihong Sword Sect hasn't sent anyone to investigate? Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun was a little surprised. What's going on? Sing Hui faintly felt that something was wrong. You shouldn't be able to contact the two Sword Masters of Heaven Dome and Baihong Sword Sect. You should know that there are only two ways to prevent people from communicating with the Chaos Temple and using the Chaos Temple to send messages. One is that the cultivator's spirit is so weak that it is unable to communicate with the Chaos Temple. The other is that the cultivator has already left this world and is in a space mezzanine or an endless void. The first way is usually when someone has been completely defeated. Calculating the time, Heaven Dome shouldn't have been defeated so quickly. As for the second way, that is when the cultivator is no longer in the divine wilderness world, and the inability to communicate with Heaven Dome, Sword Shadow, and Baong Sword Sect is obviously the second way. Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun said, You mean they've shattered space? No. Although vacuum-shattering experts can shatter space, it won't affect communication with the Chaos Temple unless they enter an endless void or a space mezzanine. Are you trying to tell me that Heaven Dome, Master Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yuing have all been banished to a space mezzanine? Banishing a space mezzanine is something that no one in the divine wilderness can do. Even vacuum-shattering experts can only shatter the surface of space, which is far from banishing people. However, there is one person and one thing in the divine wilderness who can separate the battlefield and send it into an endless void. That thing is our eternal divine nation, and that person is the Chaos realm formed after Chaos Holy Sovereign merged a 17th-tier supreme treasure into his own domain. Chaos Holy Sovereign's Chaos realm. Sing Hui suddenly understood something. Chaos Holy Sovereign has come out of seclusion. He was able to eliminate Swordmaster Bai Heng and Master Zhu Zhao, who were regarded as the greatest enemies of the heavenly Tao, in one breath, and it was related to the fight for the profits of 5,000 to 6,000 Taoist rhymes. Why didn't he come out of seclusion? Emperor Blacklight sneered and said, when the Chaos Holy Man was in the Divine Realm, he once trapped 14 magnates in the Divine Realm for a day with his Chaotic Realm. Now that he has reached the Void Transformation Realm, do you think that Reverend Zhu Zhao, Firmament Master, Swordmaster Bai Heng, Swordmaster Long Rainbow, and Swordmaster Yuan can escape? He only needs to gather the power of the Heavenly Tao and move them to the Chaos Origin Realm. Then, he can kill all 5 of them. Even if he can't mobilize enough divinities, he can still kill them in 1 or 2 years with the help of the special battlefield in the Chaos Origin Realm that can't be replenished by the outside world. That's right. Therefore, Zhuo Qingxiu, what you need to do now is to restrain the Divine Realm Giants of Heavenly Tao as soon as possible. Don't let them join forces and enter the chaotic primordial realm. Otherwise, the 5 strongest Divine Realm experts of Celestial Vault, Rainbow Sword Sect, and Sword Shadow will all perish in the chaotic primordial realm. Emperor Bright Sun chimed in. Chaos Realm. Qing Su's face sank. He could already guess the danger that the Heaven's Domain Master, Venerable Zhu Zhao, and so on faced. As a matter of fact, he could even guess that there was something wrong with the Scarlet Pung Sword Saint of the Rainbow Sword Sect. Otherwise, the 3 of them would not have wasted so much time. However, before that, no one is allowed to interfere in the Conley continent. You two, get lost to the space mezzanine. Chapter 665. Cho Tsinghui, how dare you? How dare you trap us in a spatial mezzanine? When we return, we won't let you off. When the time comes, under the double attack of the Heavenly Tao and the Eternal Tao, you'll be doomed eternally. Emperor Blacklight and Emperor Bright Sun roared at the same time, but what awaited them was an even faster sunburst sword. Damn it, teleportation, go. Emperor Blacklight growled, and the teleportation ripples spread out. However, basically at the same time that he activated the teleportation technique, Qing Su had already used the grief-parting world again. Under the interference of the grief-parting world, problems clearly appeared with Emperor Blacklight's teleportation technique. However, as teleportation was a special ability grasped by the Son of Chaos, he was unable to stop it at all. He could only vanish as a spatial pulse with unwillingness and anger. Cho Tsinghui, the remaining Emperor Bright Sun, roared when he saw this scene. At the same time, he couldn't care less about fighting Tsinghui. He turned around, and the destructive torrent formed by the Great Sun's demise smashed towards the Lihin Heaven Realm. However, before his death of the Great Sun could land on the parting Hatred Heaven World, Qing Su's figure suddenly flickered, and he erupted with speed. He actually managed to intercept the death of the Great Sun that was hurtling towards the parting Hatred Heaven World. A sword of sunlight slashed down and forcefully shattered the death of the Great Sun, causing it to explode into flames. However, before the flames could completely disperse, his second sword of sunlight had already arrived. If there were 2 of you, one of you would pin me down while the other attacked the Lian Heaven Realm, I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. But, you alone, you can't break the Lihin Heaven Realm. Tsing Hui's voice echoed in the blazing light, making Emperor Bright Sun sullen and angry. Powerful domain power continued to revolve around him, and beams of Great Sun's demise continuously blasted out in all directions. However, Tsing Hui's speed was simply too fast, so much so that every attack of the brilliant Sun Emperor was easily intercepted by him. After a few breaths of time, not only did the brilliant Sun Emperor fail to cause any damage to the Lihan Heaven realm, but the power of his own realm was also mostly destroyed by Tsing Hui's source sunlight, forming a large vacuum. The brilliant Sun Emperor's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. "Cho Tsing Hui, you better pray that I will only find a way to return after your heaven's vault has resolved this crisis. Otherwise, you can just wait for the heavenly Tao and our eternal Tao to join forces to attack your heaven's vault." As soon as he finished speaking, the fluctuation of the teleportation spell flashed across his body. Tsing Hui's eyes were also filled with ferocity. However, when he thought of the incomprehensible characteristic of the teleportation technique, he felt helpless even if he wanted to make the brilliant Sun Emperor stay. As he put away the Lihan Heaven realm again, he looked in the direction where the brilliant Sun Emperor had left with a faint sense of unwillingness. Could it be that the teleportation technique really can't be solved unless I use the War of Chaos to strip the opponent of their chaos level, or if his teleportation technique happens to be in cooldown? Every time I defeat the opponent's divinity, the opponent can use the teleportation technique to escape? As he thought about this, a light bulb suddenly flashed into Tsing Hui's mind. I wonder if the characteristic of the dimensional lock born at the 60th level of chaos will work. The dimensional lock can lock onto a location, and the target will return after 24 hours. What if I set the dimensional lock on the enemy? When he thought of this, Tsing Hui's eyes suddenly lit up. If the target's teleportation technique teleported him to a spatial mezzanine, he could ignore it. After all, if he rashly entered a spatial mezzanine, he would face a much more dangerous situation than a divinity who had condensed a domain's origin. However, if the opponent's teleportation technique teleported him to a location that he thought was safe, then he could use the dimensional lock characteristic to suddenly appear in front of the opponent and kill him in one blow. However, the only problem with this characteristic was, what if the opponent returned to their base camp? If he used the dimensional lock, wouldn't he be trapped in the enemy's camp? Wait a minute. If I remember correctly, those large sects with deep foundations basically have a large number of dust-repellent stones that are specially used to interfere with teleportation techniques. Therefore, even if the enemy returns to the sect, he will at most be at the mountain gate and will not be able to enter the mountain's protective array. As long as the dimensional lock is activated quickly enough and does not give him time to enter the protective array, activate quickly enough, if he used the backtrack technique to deduce the dimensional lock, as long as his dimensional lock could reach the 5th level, he would be able to freely control the activation time after it mutated. 600 Taoist rhymes. Let's give it a try. If it really works, the law of divinities being almost impossible to kill will be broken in my hands. Tsing Hui immediately came to a decision. After solving the problem of Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun and Emperor Lord Blacklight, Tsing Hui turned around and once again chased after the Almighties of the Divine Wilderness. The Almighties of the Divine Wilderness clearly had a special method to spy on Tsing Hui. After sensing that Tsing Hui had attacked Emperor Lord Brilliant Sun and Emperor Lord Blacklight, they quickly turned around and fled. However, no matter how fast they were, they could not be faster than Tsing Hui, who was flying on his sword at over 100,000 kilometers per hour. Soon, the four Almighties, Xue Xiao, Qi Wuming, Hurricane, and Dusk, were severely injured and captured by him with the power of his sword. Based on the current situation, Tianxiong had already started an all-out war with the Heavenly Axiom. It was not a good time to make new enemies. Therefore, after capturing Xue Xiao, Qi Wuming, Hurricane, and Dusk alive, he did not kill them. He only locked them up first and considered how to deal with them after the battle between Tianxiong and the Heavenly Axiom came to an end. Swoosh! With a flash of light, Tsing Hui had already returned to the Bieli mountain range. Senior. Su Fei and Scorpion immediately went up to him. Tsing Hui's gaze immediately turned to Scorpion. Has the lightning punishment been attacked? Yes. It's all thanks to Senior defeating their reinforcements and causing him to have a mental breakdown. I only need to torture him a little, and he has already spat out all the treasures and chaos techniques in his personal storage space. Scorpion replied respectfully. All right, Sing Hui replied heavily. The lightning punishment Daylord's items had come at the right time. With Scorpion leading the way, Sing Hui quickly arrived at a room. Upon entering the room, the first thing that entered Sing Hui's eyes was the lightning punishment Daylord's rank, 13 Thunder God Spear, and the rank, 14 Four Divisions Pearl. The Four Divisions Pearl is a defensive treasure that can only be found by chance. Even many saints may not have it. Such precious items can only be sold within the Sky Dome sect and Rainbow Sword sect. Selling it to others is equivalent to funding the enemy and will only increase the enemy's strength. However, the Thunder God Spear can be sold as soon as possible. A rank 13 divine weapon might not be as valuable as a rank 13 armor, but can still be easily sold for 300 Taoist rhymes in a hurry. The Lightning Punishment Tao Lord was clearly one of the top existences among the 36 Tao Lords. Otherwise, the Heavenly Tao would not have entrusted him with such an important task of overseeing the Conley continent. Therefore, not only did he have a powerful divine weapon, but his chaos level had also reached an astonishing rank 29. In addition, Sing Hui had also obtained 124 Taoist rhymes from him. Clearly, if Sing Hui had not defeated the Lightning Punishment Tao Lord with sword intent, he could have raised his chaos level to rank 30 and teleported away. A rank 29 chaos level can easily be sold for 150 Taoist rhymes in a hurry. In addition to the Thunder Punishment Daylord's Taoist treasure and the Thunder God Spear that he intends to sell, I have close to 600 Taoist rhymes in total. Sing Hui did some calculations and was very satisfied with his gains. He could not help but look forward to the gains from the Black Sky Tao Lord and Demonic Mantle Tao Lord. However, with the willpower of an astronomical phenomenon expert, it was not difficult for him to endure 2 to 3 days of torture. If the Lightning Punishment Tao Lord had not suffered a few days of torture and suffered a severe mental breakdown from Sing Hui, he would not have been in such a sorry state. Therefore, it would take a few more days for the Black Sky Tao Lord and Demonic Mantle Tao Lord to submit to him. However, the current situation in Sky Dome sect made it impossible for him to wait any longer. Su Fei, Senior, what are your orders? Sing Hui waved his hand, and a huge machine that was 3 meters tall appeared in front of him. This is the Scarlet Sun Demon God. The Scarlet Sun Demon God. Although Su Fei was only a cultivator from a small place like the Conley continent, he had been in the Chaos Divine Palace to connect with the outside world. Naturally, he had heard about the Scarlet Sun Demon God who had caused a stir. His eyes immediately lit up. Sir, the Scarlet Sun Demon God is equivalent to an astronomical phenomenon expert. Even if you go in and control it, you will be able to unleash combat power that surpasses that of an ordinary almighty. I have to leave the Conley continent for a period of time. If anyone from the Heavenly Tao dares to cause trouble, kill them with the Scarlet Sun Demon God. Do you understand? Yes, Senior. Su Fei looked at the powerful Scarlet Sun Demon God in front of him and could not help but feel excited when he thought of those saints who were several realms stronger than him being killed by this terrifying monster. If there are any problems that you can't solve, send me a message immediately. Sing Hui said. Time was of the essence, and he could not delay any longer. He immediately projected his consciousness into the Chaos Temple and was about to contact Master Tsongjun to get a spiritual coordinate. However, before he could find Master Tsongjun, Master Tsongjun had already found him with a serious expression. Sing Hui, things are not good. The Chaos Holy Man has personally taken everyone into the Chaos Realm. The culprit behind all of this is the Red Rock Sword Sage of the White Rainbow Sword sect. He leaked all of our plans to the Anisrava Holy Man. Now, the Heavenly Axiom is trying its best to gather all the available divinities from all over the world, trying to send them into the Primal Chaos Realm to kill Firmament, Zhu Zhao, Bai Heng, Long Rainbow, and Yu Ying who are trapped in the Primal Chaos Realm. We must stop them. The Scarlet Rock Sword Sage. Although Tsing Hui had already guessed that there was something wrong with the Scarlet Rock Sword Sage, his eyes were still filled with killing intent when he heard Master Tsongjin's words. The Scarlet Rock Sword Sage has already escaped from the White Rainbow Sword sect. However, now is not the time to track his whereabouts. We have to find a way to stop the saints of the heavenly Tao from entering the Chaos Realm. Tsing Hui, we have to put aside the matter of the Conley continent. Although it is related to the profit of 5,000 to 6,000 Taoist rhymes, if we don't handle the matter of the Conley Peak well, Firmament will be in danger of being destroyed. Understand. I'll be right back. Chapter 666. Tsing Hui did not return to the heavens, but to the Baihong Sword Sect. At this point, the Zhongjin Master had already rushed to the Baihong Sword Sect. The person in charge of hosting the meeting at the Baihong Sword Sect was the Pengguang Sword Master. After being betrayed by his most trusted disciple, the Pengguang Sword Master was visibly dispirited. Besides the Pengguang Sword Master, 2 other divine sword masters from the Sword Shadow sect had arrived. They were the Xingyi Sword Master and the current Chengying Sword Master. The current Chengying Sword Master was one of the best in the divine stage. After inheriting the Chengying sword, he was given the title of Chengying Sword Master. He was one of the best in the 10 most powerful cultivators and was much stronger than the Holy Master of the Bottomless Chasm and the Jade Emperor, Holy Man, Pengguang Sword Master, Xingyi Sword Master, Chengying Sword Master. Tsing Hui nodded at the 3 sword masters in the main hall. When they saw Qing Su's arrival, aside from the other great figures, the Pengguang Sword Master, the Xingyi Sword Master, and even the Shadow-bearing Sword Master all stood up at the same time. They said seriously, Sword Master White Ruins. To boost their morale, news of Tsing Hui defeating 5 divine stage cultivators, including the sky-splitting Holy Master, the Zhurong Holy Man, and the brilliant Sun Emperor, was spread by the Zhongjin Master. This battle was enough to establish Tsing Hui's status as a divine stage cultivator. When they saw Tsing Hui, the Pengguang Sword Master, Xingyi Sword Master, and the Chengying Sword Master all stood up to show their respect. After all, even though the Chengying Sword Master was on the list of most powerful cultivators, his strength was completely based on the Chengying Sword, a Class 18 divine weapon. Without the Chengying Sword, he was barely a Class 3 or even a Class 2 divine stage cultivator. Just call me Tsing Hui. Pak Hui is just a pseudonym of the Chaos Holy Hall. Tsing Hui said. The Xingyi Sword Master and the Chengying Sword Master smiled and nodded. It's unfortunate that something like this happened to our family. I'm sorry. The Pengguang Sword Master's face was full of regret. Man walks to higher places, water flows to lower places. Before the trump card of esteemed Zhu Zhao was revealed, everyone felt that they would have a better future if they followed the heavenly axiom. Therefore, it was not strange for phenomena like the broken sword and the red rock to appear. Let's not talk about the past. What's the situation over there now? At present, the entire Karma Peak has been covered by the Chaos Realm. We can't see what's happening inside, but we can infer from the occasional distortion of the Chaos Realm that the battle is still going on. The Pengguang Sword Master said, the only good news at present is that esteemed Zhu Zhao has broken through to the profound Void Realm. It's not as easy for the Chaos Holy Master to trap esteemed Zhu Zhao, who is at the profound Void Realm, as he has to maintain the stability of the Chaos Realm at all times. Therefore, if we really want to capture esteemed Zhu Zhao, the Firmament Holy Master, the Baihong Sword Master, the Rainbow Sword Master, and the Shadow Sword Master in one fell swoop, there are only 2 ways. One is to use the Chaos Realm's characteristic of cutting off the pneuma of the outside world to exhaust the 5 great saints of the 3 parties to death. However, the aura of Saint Realm experts is long. It will take at least 1 or 2 years to exhaust the 5 great saints of the 3 parties to death. The other way is to send saints into the Chaos Realm. As long as there are enough saints in the Chaos Realm, they will be able to kill us one by one. Even if we can't kill them, the 5 great saints of the 3 parties will consume their strength when fighting with these saints, which will indirectly achieve the purpose of exhausting the 5 great saints of the 3 parties. If we only rely on exhausting the 7 great saints of the 3 parties, they may be in danger, but they won't be able to exhaust esteemed Zhu Zhao to death. Xinghui said. Reverend Zhu Zhao had the originator in his body. The originator could continuously absorb energy from the alternate space to replenish itself. Therefore, it was impossible to exhaust Reverend Zhu Zhao to death. Reverend Zhu Zhao would probably still be alive and kicking even if Chaos Holy Man ran out of energy. Can't exhaust him to death? The Pengguang Swordmaster was slightly taken aback and somewhat confused. However, after hearing his words, the 3 sword masters were relieved at the same time. The battle strength of esteemed Zhu Zhao alone is equivalent to the total strength of the Firmament Holy Master, the Bai Hung Swordmaster, and the others. If the method of exhaustion is ineffective on esteemed Zhu Zhao, then we will have a much longer time to maneuver. As long as we pin down enough saints of the Way of Heaven in the outside world and prevent more than 10 saints from entering the Chaos Realm, we won't have to worry about their lives for 3 or 4 years. 10 saints? The Way of Heaven can gather 10 saints? The Chaos Holy Master can't move. The Zhurong Holy Master has been killed by me. The Lihan Holy Master has yet to return, and the Qingwei Holy Master is severely injured. That's 4 less. The Divine Path sect needs a saint to guard the sect and can't move. The remaining 4, including the 4 from the Way of Heaven, are only 8. Even if we include the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, there are only 9. Furthermore, will the Way of Heaven really dare to come out in full force? The saints of the other factions don't dare to come out in full force, but the Way of Heaven, they really dare. Swordmaster Xingyi smiled bitterly. The Way of Heaven has the strongest protective mountain array in the entire Divine Wilderness. Its level is above the Eternal and Divine Wilderness 13th level, reaching an astonishing 15th level. You didn't hear wrong, it's not 14th level, but 15th level. This is a supreme array set up by an array formation master of the Way of Heaven in ancient times. This array formation was originally 17th level, but because there was no one to maintain it, it was constantly weakened and maintained at 15th level. However, a 15th level array is still enough to make the Way of Heaven impregnable. Even ordinary vacuum level experts would find it difficult to break through it. Even if this array formation was presided over by a mighty figure or an embodiment of heaven or earth realm expert, it would be impossible for less than 2 saint realm experts to break through it. Swordmaster Xingyi's words rendered Xing Hui somewhat speechless. The Way of Heaven was an array formation master. They could even set up a 12th level array formation in a small place like Karma Peak that was similar to an outpost. It was an array formation that was equivalent to the protective mountain array of a top sect. What would they do? In fact, if they really fought head-on, the Divine Wilderness's overall strength was definitely above the Way of Heaven. However, once the array formations were included, the Way of Heaven would immediately become the strongest faction in the Divine Wilderness. This was also the reason why the Way of Heaven dared to stir up trouble in the Divine Wilderness. They had nothing to fear. Like the Divine Wilderness and Eternal, they were much more low-key than the Way of Heaven. Is there a way to destroy the chaos, primordial world? Xinghui asked. Impossible. Swordmaster Pengguang shook his head and said somewhat dejectedly, the chaos primordial world's sturdiness is beyond your imagination. Especially the insightful Void Realm, which focuses on increasing one's defense. It has allowed the chaos primordial world, who is already adept at defense, to reach an almost heaven-defying level. For example, during the Saint Realm, if we could gather 10 saints, we would be able to tear his chaos primordial world apart. However, at the insightful Void Realm, even if we could gather 10 insightful Void Realm giants, we would not be able to do anything to his chaos primordial world. I even suspect that even if an invincible vacuum-level expert were to personally attack, it would not be something that could be done in a short period of time. Swordmaster Xingyi nodded. Then we can only drag it out? The point is, if we drag it out, we may not be able to. Swordmaster Pengguang said regretfully. According to my understanding, esteemed Zhu Zhao suddenly attacked and severely injured Wu Lu Dao Master, but he did not kill him. In addition, he attacked again and forced a saint of the divine path to use a teleportation technique to escape into a spatial mezzanine. Even so, the Way of Heaven and the Divine Path sects still have 7 saints. In addition to Heavenly Lord Merciless and a mysterious saint from outside the Infinite Wasteland domain, there are 9 saints. Even if the Divine Path sect must leave someone to guard it, there are still 8 people who can be mobilized in our side. At this point, he glanced at Xing Hui, then at Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Chungying, and the others, but did not say anything. 3. Their side only had 3 saints who could be mobilized. If the situation becomes dangerous, Sword Master Xingyi of Sword Shadow can also step in. Sword Master Xingyi said. Sword Master Xingyi was the Sword Master in charge of Sword Shadow, like Sword Master Pingwang of the Rainbow Sword Sect and the Sword Master of Firmament Domain. However, Firmament Domain and Sword Shadow belonged to the Primal Chaos organization, and their foundation was in the Primal Chaos Divine Palace, and not the real world. At the critical moment, they could be mobilized. 4 saints is still not enough, because I am worried that they will take advantage of the fact that the main forces of our 3 forces are trapped in the Primal Chaos domain to attack our sect. When Sword Master Pingwang said this, his expression turned solemn. Anisrava, Dao Sovereign, is the #1 array master in the Divine Wilderness. Our protective array can withstand other sages, but against Anisrava, Dao Sovereign, it might not be able to do its job. The array is ineffective, and the other party has 8 sages. If they all attack together, they can completely destroy Heaven Vault Sect, Rainbow Sword Sect, and Sword Shadow. The only thing to be thankful for now is that Wu Lu Dao Master has been severely injured by esteemed Zhu Zhao. We still have a few months to think of a way to resolve the crisis. It is best if we can find enough reinforcements. Otherwise, once Wu Lu Dao Master recovers from his injuries and leads the 8 saints to come back, we 4 saints will not be able to resist. Sword Master Xingyi said, being divine doesn't necessarily mean having more people. The Chaos Holy Man who put us in danger alone is the best example. Xing Hui stood up at this time. There is no point in discussing more here. Let's go to Causal Peak and take a look. Okay, Heaven Lord Heartless, Wu Lu Dao Master, Tai Huang Dao Master, as well as Heaven Lord Water Virtue, Heaven Lord Cloud Virtue, and Heaven Lord Shangshan of the Divine Path Sect are on Causal Peak. There are 6 saints in total. It is not safe for you to go alone. We will go with you. Sword Master Shadow Bearing Sword said. Although Master Zhang had said that Xing Hui had the battle strength of a supreme expert, the Shadow Bearing Sword, Sword Master Xingyi, and the others were still worried because they had not seen it with their own eyes. Xing Hui pondered for a while, then nodded. All right, let's go together. Sword Master Pingwang also said, we will activate the protective mountain formation of the Fogbow Sword Sect. If you encounter any danger, just return to the Fogbow Sword Sect. I believe that without Wu Lu Dao Master, they would not dare to barge into the Fogbow Sword Sect. Xing Hui and the others nodded. The 3 of them leaped up and headed in the direction of Causal Peak. 5th update. Do you have any recommendations? Chapter 667. Karma Peak. Xing Hui, the Chungying Sword Master, and the Xingyi Sword Master looked in that direction from afar. Even though they were a few hundred kilometers away, they could still clearly see the chaotic world above the Karma Peak. This chaotic world was extremely large, spanning a few hundred kilometers. It was as if a gray ball of gas had condensed into a single entity. Outside the ball of gas, there were surging balls of gas. From time to time, one could see streaks of fire escaping from the ball of gas, accompanied by faint dragon roars. That was the counterattack of the Zhu Zhao exalted being. Unfortunately, the Primal Chaos Holy Man's Primal Chaos realm was the most powerful restraining method in the Divine Wilderness. When he had just stepped into the First Saint stage and formed the Primal Chaos realm, he had already been able to trap the 14 saints for a day. It should be known that the 14 saints were not ordinary saints, and there were many outstanding saints among them. Under such circumstances, the Chaos Holy Man was able to trap the 14 divine saints for a day. One could imagine how powerful the chaotic world was. Heavenly Lord Heartless, Styx River Holy Man, Wu Sei Holy Man, Water Virtue, Heavenly Lord, Cloud Virtue, Heavenly Lord Shangshan. 6 divine saints, not one is missing. Qing Su looked at the place where the chaotic world was located sternly. Styx River Holy Man is also here. It seems like the Grand Emperor Holy Man is in charge of the heavenly way. The Xingyi Swordmaster frowned. Among the 6 divine saints, the Heavenly Lord Heartless was the most powerful. He belonged to the 3rd type of divine saint. Even though he was slightly inferior to the sky-splitting Holy Man, he only needed to team up with any other divine saint to be comparable to the Chang'ying Swordmaster. The remaining Styx River Holy Man and the Heavenly Lord Shangshan belonged to the 2nd type of divine saint. The Styx River Holy Man was one of the best in the 2nd type of divine saint. He was very close to the 3rd type of divine saint. His combat power was not inferior to the Heavenly Lord. If these 2 divine saints worked together and had the support of another divine saint, they could still match up to an ultimate divine saint. I will think of a way to deal with the Styx River Swordmaster and the Heavenly Lord Heartless. Swordmaster Xingyi, you will deal with the Wu Sei Holy Man. The rest will be left to you, Xinghui. How about that? The Master of the Shadow bearing sword muttered to himself for a while before assigning the items. As for whether Xinghui truly possessed the powers of an ultimate powerhouse, he was not very confident. After all, even though Xinghui had defeated the Heaven Way, Eternity, and the Divine Wilderness, according to what he knew, before Xinghui attacked the 5 great holy beings, they had already fought. No one knew the state of the 5 great holy beings and the extent of their injuries. Furthermore, the sky-splitting Holy Man was forced to teleport away by Xinghui's sneak attack. That was why Xinghui's powers could not be fully displayed in that battle. It was because of this that the Chang'ying Sword's owner chose to take on the Styx River Holy Man and the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness. All right, I will deal with the rest. At the same time, I will think of a way to attack the chaotic, primordial world. Then you have to be careful. According to what we know, Exalted Zhu Zhao, Exalted Firmament, and the others attacked Karma Peak, but did not completely destroy the mountain protecting array on Karma Peak. Although the mountain protecting array was damaged to a certain extent, it still has a great deterrent force after being activated. And the primal chaos realm is within the range of the Karma Peak's mountain protecting array. The master of the Xingyi sword reminded him seriously. The protective formation of the Karma Peak. Xinghui pondered for a while. Perhaps I have a way to completely destroy the protective formation of the Karma Peak. Oh, the eyes of the master of the Xingyi sword lit up. Then what are you waiting for? The master of the shadow-bearing sword also urged. In fact, the reason why they found it difficult to rescue the chaotic primordial world was mainly because they were wary of the protective formation of the Karma Peak. If the protective formation of the Karma Peak was not included, the 3 of them, with 2 supreme experts, might not be much weaker than the Sky Dao and the Divine Path sect combined. At the very least, if the Sky Dao really dared to let all the Divine Path sages enter the chaotic primordial world to exhaust the Jinzhao, Holy Man, and the rest, they could totally join forces to destroy the Divine Path sect's mountain gate, and even cause the Sky Dao great losses. I need some time, Xinghui said, then began to use the aura examination technique to investigate the earth vein of the Karma Peak, a 12th level formation. The power of the earth vein is indeed extremely strong. Furthermore, it is no longer limited to drawing power from the earth vein. More of its power comes from the void, from the laws. Xinghui observed for a while and frowned slightly. What's wrong? The master of the shadow-bearing sword asked when he noticed that Xinghui's expression was not right. It's a little troublesome. I thought that I would be able to destroy this formation very quickly, but now it seems that it won't be an easy task. It would be much more difficult for him to destroy this grand formation if it wasn't completely set up by the energy of the earth veins. Fortunately, esteemed Zhu Zhao, esteemed Sky Dome, and the others had already torn open many holes in the Karma Peak's grand formation. So long as he destroyed the grand formation's earth veins, then even if the grand formation didn't vanish completely, its might would plummet. At the very least, it wouldn't be able to affect saints any longer. Can it work? Let me try, Xing Hui said. Before long, Xing Hui had already understood the earth vein of the Karma Peak. Then, his figure flashed, and he landed on a mountain peak that was only 1,000 kilometers away from the Karma Peak. After landing on a mountain peak, Xing Hui immediately took out a treasure that he had not used for a long time. It was the earth-shaking rod that could cause the earth to tremble. As his cultivation increased, the effects of this item naturally increased by a lot. After taking out the earth-shaking rod, Xing Hui infused it with its true origin and began to hit the ground. As soon as he hit it, a crack with a diameter of 100 meters appeared on the ground. A terrifying tremor spread through the crack and into the depths of the ground. If this power was used against a protective formation of the Create, Evolve, Mysterious sect, it would only take a few hits to completely destroy the formation foundation of the Create, Evolve, Mysterious sect. However, the earth vein of the formation of the Karma Peak was too vast. As Xing Hui continued to attack, the tremor grew stronger and stronger. If this continued, it could form a prairie fire and completely destroy the Karma Peak. However, the speed was much slower than Xing Hui had imagined. This unique treasure is really extraordinary. Swordmaster Xingyi sensed for a moment and quickly understood the principles behind the earth-shaking rod's operation. His eyes immediately lit up. This treasure destroys formations by destroying earth veins and mountain ranges. It's extremely effective against ordinary great formations. Even if a level 12 great formation is embedded in the void and can absorb energy from the void, once the earth veins are destroyed, the might of the formation will still be greatly reduced. At that time, it won't require 2 or even 3 times the strength to break through the enemy's base. Even so, the effect is still too weak against a 12th level formation. Once we use the earth-shaking rod to attack, they will naturally sense it. At that time, we only need to take the initiative to attack. Furthermore, my attack cannot be too far away from the formation. After they have exhausted their energy, they can return to replenish it. However, we have to stay here and be on full alert. Naturally, our situation will not be easy. As Xing Hui spoke, he gave up on the idea of using the earth-shaking rod to destroy the formation of the Karma Peak. This kind of tactic can only be used when we have a huge advantage. The shadow-bearing Swordmaster sighed. Swordmaster Xingyi nodded his head. They did not have an advantage against the Heavenly Way. If they still had to waste the power of a supreme expert like Xing Hui, how could they fight? I hope that our actions have already attracted them over. At that time, they will definitely attack me first. Let me see if I can take advantage of the fact that they are not familiar with my powers to explode with all my power and defeat one of them. Xing Hui said, "You killed the Zhurong holy man and forced the Qing Wei holy woman to escape using her teleportation technique. The Heavenly Way should have received the news." Swordmaster Xingyi did not have high hopes. We will do our best and leave the rest to fate. Xing Hui also did not have much confidence. As the tremors on the ground became stronger and stronger, the 6 great sages of the Heavenly Way and the Celestial Way rushed over. When they sensed that Xing Hui, the shadow-bearing swordmaster, the Xingyi swordmaster, and the rest were trying to destroy the formation of the Karma Peak, the Styx River holy man laughed. I was wondering who it was. So it's the scoundrels from a Shadow Sword sect. Why? You are finally not hiding and amusing yourselves, and have chosen to reveal yourselves. Be careful, holy man. If I am not wrong, the young man who is controlling the strange object and trying to destroy the formation of the Karma Peak is Xing Hui from the heavens. He has awakened an unparalleled Abhijna and possesses an unparalleled divine weapon. According to the Qing Wei holy woman, with the power of his Abhijna and divine weapon, his powers are not inferior to that of a supreme expert. Wu Sei holy man said softly, "It's him?" The death of the Zhurong holy man is suspected to be caused by him. The Styx River holy man's gaze landed on Tsing Hui, and his eyes were filled with ferocity. Styx River, I have seen news of Tsing Hui before. He has cultivated for less than 40 years and has already achieved so much. If he is not eliminated early, he will become a huge threat to us. Wu Sei, I need you to use your colorless spell to trap the shadow-bearing Swordmaster and the Xingyi Swordmaster. The rest of us will combine our powers and try to kill him. The heavenly Lord Wuqing said coldly, if I am to trap the shadow-bearing Swordmaster and the Xingyi Swordmaster, I can only hold on for 3 breaths. Furthermore, if the colorless spell is destroyed, my origin will be damaged. When that happens, unless I use my innate spiritual aura to make up for it, I will not be able to fight in a short period of time. Wu Sei Holy Man said unwillingly. The Styx River Holy Man waved his hand. The heavenly Lord Wuqing is right. Tsing Hui is too big a threat. He has cultivated for less than 40 years and has already achieved so much. If he is allowed to continue growing, he will threaten the plan of the heavenly way. That's why we have to kill him before he becomes too powerful to resist. His threat is not inferior to that of Zhu Zhao. Wu Sei Holy Man heard the Styx River Holy Man's words. Although he was unwilling, he still nodded his head reluctantly. I will try my best to delay them. All right. As the Styx River Holy Man said, the group of them had already arrived above Tsing Hui, the shadow-bearing Swordmaster, and the Xingyi Swordmaster. After that, they did not waste any time and shouted, kill. In the next moment, the formless Tao Venerate took the lead, directly enveloping the shadow-bearing Swordmaster and the Xingyi Swordmaster with a formless world barrier. Afterwards, the Nether River Taoist, the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, the Heavenly Lord of Goodness, the Heavenly Lord of Water Virtue, and the Heavenly Lord of Cloud Virtue lunged down at the same time. Terrifying, tremendous power of domains descended from above, devouring Qing Su immediately. Chapter 668. His first target is the Tsing Hui Swordmaster. Oh no, the Tsing Hui Swordmaster is extremely talented. He cannot fall so easily. Furthermore, he has yet to enter the divine stage. Once he is trapped in the void, his chances of escaping alive are less than half of a normal divine sage. The shadow-bearing sword and Xingyi Sword Master sense the intentions of the Styx River Holy Man, the heavenly lord of ruthlessness and the rest. They exploded and a powerful sword aura shot into the heavens, converting into huge swords. They clashed with the colorless spell world of the colorless holy man. A circle of energy ripples that were visible to the naked eye shot in all directions, tearing the surrounding air into pieces. Whereas the expression of the colorless holy man changed. The vital energy in his body was disrupted by the tremors, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hurry up, the colorless holy man roared. After that, the origin of his domain was ignited and converted into a torrent of energy that was injected into the colorless spell world. This stabilized the colorless spell world. Suppress him. Love Destroyer. Fallen Styx River. Control spell. As the shadow-bearing sword and Xingyi Sword Master clashed with the colorless holy man, the attacks of the 5 divine sages had already turned into a torrential storm. They surrounded Tsing Hui from all directions. Even though his speed was twice as fast as a normal divine sage, he was still helpless against such an unavoidable attack. As he faced the attacks of the 5 divine sages, he made a decision in his mind. He locked his gaze on the Styx River Holy Man, who was the fastest. He allowed the fallen Styx River to corrode his body and did not dodge. He roared, and his sword mind and Abijna were unleashed. He was like a bright shooting star that was burning his essence and life. He carried an intense aura as he clashed with the Styx River Holy Man. As the Styx River Holy Man saw Tsing Hui charging towards him, a ferocious look flashed across his eyes. At this point, if he dodged, Tsing Hui would definitely create an opening for him. From there, he would be able to escape from the encirclement of the 5 divine sages. But if he did not dodge, at best, both sides would suffer great losses. Furthermore, as he was surrounded by heavenly monarch Wuqing, heavenly monarch Shangshan, heavenly monarch Shuaid, and other saints before Tsinghui and heavenly monarch Tsinghui were both severely injured, the second round of attacks from these saints would have already arrived and minced him into pieces. Suppress him. Nether River Holy Man let out a low roar, and the torrential river formed by the fallen Nether River collided rapidly with the sword light of the Sword of Sunlight that Tsinghui had slashed into the void. In an instant, a shock wave visible to the naked eye exploded and swept wildly in all directions. Then, before it could spread for 100 meters, it was crushed and suppressed by the power of the domain that was constantly surging. Sun burst. A long roar erupted the moment the Nether River Holy Man's fallen underworld river was defeated. Then it was the third sword, the fourth sword, the fifth sword. As he was surrounded by the 5 divine sages, Tsinghui did not dare to hold back anymore. Streaks and streaks of Sword of Sunlight that were activated to the extreme were like blazing suns. They exploded crazily and tore the domain of the Styx River Holy Man into pieces. In addition, with Tsinghui's new understanding of the rules of nature, even though he was not using the divine spell, he was still able to unleash an attack that was close to destroying the vacuum. As the rules of nature trembled, his sword had already torn the domain of the Styx River Holy Man into pieces. Such a powerful sword technique. Not good. As the Styx River Holy Man felt the sword radiance that was coming towards him, he immediately retreated. And at this point, the heavenly monarch Wuqing and the heavenly monarch Shuaid, who were following closely behind him, finally arrived. The heavenly monarch Wuqing's love destroyer slashed down. The love destroyer did not seem to possess any power, nor did it possess any earth-shattering might, but it seemed to have completely fused with space. It was silent and as fast as lightning. When Xing Su managed to catch onto the trajectory of the slash had already landed on his body, splitting him open from his shoulder. At the same time, the love destroyer intent within the love destroyer slashed into his mental world, causing his mental world to shake violently. It was so great that a regular saint would have been stunned for half a second if he had been in Xing Su's place. Dying and taking advantage of this opportunity, the heavenly monarch Shuaid had already clenched his fist. All the blood in Tsinghui's body seemed to be pulled by an invisible force and was about to be sucked out completely. After that, it turned into a destructive force and blew him into pieces. But just as the blood in Tsinghui's body was about to explode under the control of the heavenly monarch Shuaid, Tsinghui suddenly opened his eyes wide. A powerful sword aura came crashing down and shook the heavenly monarch Shuaida's spiritual world violently. Immediately, the heavenly monarch Shuaid thought that he could kill Tsinghui with one strike. Even though his reaction speed was extremely fast, and he woke up from Tsinghui's sword aura, what welcomed him was a blazing fire that burned void space. Not good. He is not affected by the love destroyer. Shuaid, retreat. The heavenly monarch Shangshan let out a low roar and then suddenly clapped his hands together in the direction of Tsinghui. His domain power collided with the clapping of his hands, and a visible void shock wave burst out from the center of the collision. The shock wave swept out at an extremely fast speed. The domain power that the heavenly monarch Shuaid did not have time to withdraw in time was like a piece of tofu that was bombarded by the sonic boom and was instantly shattered. From this, one could see how powerful the shock wave was. Void shock wave. The blazing flame torrent and the void shock wave came one after another. If Tsinghui really wanted to slash down with his sword, then the moment his sword light swept past the heavenly monarch Shuaid, his body would definitely be crushed into powder by the shock wave. Besieging Wei to rescue Zhao. This was the method of besieging Wei to rescue Zhao. When the heavenly monarch Shuaid saw this scene, there was even a trace of relief in his eyes. He did not believe that this talented, peerless genius in front of him would sacrifice himself for the people of Tianxiong and choose to ignore the void shock wave behind him and exchange his life for his own. Unfortunately, before his expression of relief could completely spread, the Scarlet Abyss sword's sword light didn't stop at all. It swept past Heavenly Lord Shui's head with incomparable decisiveness. Under his shocked gaze, it directly beheaded him. The spreading energy waves wrapped around his entire body in the next second, burning him to ashes. This dignified divine sage trusted his own judgment and did not even have time to use the teleportation technique. He became the first divine sage to fall on the Karma Peak battlefield. No! Seeing this scene, the heavenly monarch Shangshan's eyes were about to split open as he let out an unwilling roar. His eyes were filled with pain. The power of the void shock wave seemed to have sensed its master's grief and instantly wrapped around the culprit's body, crushing him into powder. Perishing together. Sing Hui's choice was to perish together. This result not only stunned the heavenly monarch Heartless and the Stygian River Holy Man, but also the heavenly monarch Virtuous Cloud and the heavenly monarch Shangshan of the Divine Tao sect. This was like a peerless genius who was destined to climb to the peak of the world with unlimited potential. Just because his seniors were in danger, and he wasn't even at the end of his rope, he directly started a life and death battle with the enemy. He didn't care about his own life at all. It didn't conform to common sense. However, the heavenly monarch Heartless reacted extremely quickly. In an instant, he thought of something and suddenly exclaimed, "Backtracking technique. Backtracking technique. It's backtracking technique. The backtracking technique that the Son of Chaos has at level 40. Everyone be careful." Almost at the same moment, the heavenly monarch Heartless exclaimed, Sing Hui, who had been reduced to ashes by the heavenly monarch Shangshan's void shock wave, suddenly appeared. He did not seem to be affected at all. Moreover, while everyone was stunned and the heavenly monarch Shangshan was still grieving, Sing Hui's body was like a stream of light. The dazzling and blazing power of the deep scarlet sword, which belonged to the Sword of Sunlight, erupted once again. Sunlight. This sword was like a nuclear bomb that had been thrown into the ground. It exploded with dazzling light and heat, and the power of the explosion instantly annihilated the heavenly monarch Shangshan's domain power. Heavenly monarch Shangshan, be careful. The heavenly monarch Heartless roared, and the love destroyer condensed and slashed out once again. This special magical power that was integrated with the law of space was unbelievably fast and strange. Even his attacking method could not be described as speed. It was a bit similar to the Torch Dragon talent backlight strike that Sing Hui had previously awakened. It was a talent that would hit the target as soon as the sword was drawn in the eyes of others. However, compared to the backlight strike that had the obvious flaw of having a spiritual value limitation, the heavenly monarch Heartless Love Destroyer was obviously more mysterious and obscure. Even though Tsing Hui had taken the initiative to attack the heavenly monarch Shangshan, his attack arrived first, forcing Tsing Hui, who did not have the backtracking technique, to have no choice but to dodge. And in this short delay, the heavenly monarch Shangshan, who was grieving, had already recovered from his shock. Flowing light circulated on his body, and he had already summoned a defensive treasure, brazenly blocking the sunlight sword that Tsing Hui had slashed out. What a pity! Amidst the dissipating flames and scorching heat, Tsing Hui sighed regretfully. After that, his body and sword became one, like a streak of bright flowing light. He escaped from the gap formed by the death of the heavenly monarch of water virtue and the retreat of the Styx River Holy Man, and escaped from the encirclement of the 4 holy sages. And once he escaped from the encirclement, the flying speed and reaction speed of his chasing light were unleashed. The remaining Styx River Holy Man, the heavenly monarch Heartless, the heavenly monarch Shangshan, and the virtuous cloud Holy Man had to concentrate to keep up with his speed, much less attack him together like they did at the beginning. This speed, even compared to those immortal void stage cultivators who can penetrate void space, he is not much inferior. Relying on this speed, As long as he is not surrounded, he is undefeatable among those in the Grand Dominion realm. It's too fast. Furthermore, the power of his swordplay is too great. Any one of us can't restrain him. Just as we trapped him, he tore our domain apart and escaped. Furthermore, it's wishful thinking to think that 2 or even 3 of us can attack him at the same time. Ultimate powerhouse. This person truly possesses the powers of an ultimate powerhouse. The rumors are not false. In fact, he is even more frightening than the rumors. He is even more powerful than an ordinary ultimate powerhouse. The few holy sages' expressions turned ugly. I can't block it anymore. And at this point, the holy man also shouted. Following that, 2 streaks of sword radiance shot into the sky, causing the remaining 4 holy sages' expressions to change. They cannot even deal with one Xing Hui, what more the owner of the Chungying sword. Thank you for your tip. This chapter is 666 for you. Thank you for your support. This is the birth of the 20th Alliance. Chapter 669. The owner of the shadow-bearing sword is out. The heavenly lord of heartless pupils shrank. If we can't trap Qing Su, we won't be his opponent at all, no matter how he erupts with his speed. We'll have to borrow the leakless great astrolabe to trap him. Right now, let's retreat. Otherwise, with our current strength, we won't be able to fight against 2 powerful individuals at the same time. The Styx River holy man made a prompt decision. Let's go. While the Heavenly Lord of Goodness was unwilling to accept the death of the Heavenly Lord of Shueida, he also understood that the few of them would not be able to fight against 2 powerful individuals. Go. Did I allow you to go? The master of the shadow-bearing sword's face was cold. In the next moment, he actually shot off, as if he had directly fused with space, vanishing from everyone's vision just like that. Let alone regular saints. Even Qing Su was unable to sense the master of the shadow-bearing sword's location. It's the phantom killing spell. Be careful. Combine our realms into one. The Styx River holy man roared. Heavenly Lord of Heartless, once he appears, use your love destroyer immediately. Only then can we confirm his location. All right. The Heavenly Lord of Heartless replied loudly. But at this moment, Xing Hui's figure suddenly appeared. His powerful consciousness locked onto the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. Heavenly Lord of Heartless? You used your love destroyer to slash me a few times. Did you feel good? Then come and experience the power of my sword mind. After he finished speaking, a blazing sword radiance exploded from Xing Hui's body. Behind him, there seemed to be a huge sun that rose above the horizon. After that, it released countless radiances that lit up the vision of the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. No, this was not a light in his vision, but a light in his spiritual world. Under this sword intent, his spiritual world seemed to be completely covered by this power, causing his mind to be completely immersed in this sword intent, so much so that he neglected everything outside. When Heavenly Lord Merciless regained his senses, he realized that Heavenly Holy Man Ming, he had already burned the domain origin. The vast and surging domain power was like a surging river, revolving around Heavenly Lord Shangshan, Heavenly Lord Yinda, and the others. The moment he regained his senses, he saw the shadow-bearing sword owner's untraceable sword strike. The sword was formless and traceless. Before the virtuous cloud, Heavenly Monarch could even react, the level 18 divine weapon, the shadow-bearing sword, had already pierced through his head silently. In that instant, the virtuous cloud, Heavenly Monarch's head, was smashed into pieces. Damn it! Heaven Lord Merciless let out a low roar. Before the sword chi in the shadow-bearing sword could completely crush Heaven Lord Cloud Virtue's body, the Love Destroyer had already reformed. Rumble. Almost at the same moment when he reformed the Love Destroyer, a vast and terrifying sun rose from his spiritual world, releasing endless light and heat. It instantly ignited his spiritual world, and the pain of his divine soul burning forced him to disperse the Love Destroyer's shadow suppressing the boiling and burning spiritual world. Fortunately, before his spiritual world was ignited, he saw with his own eyes that the virtuous cloud, heavenly holy man's body, was swept into the Styx River, formed by heavenly holy man Ming He's domain. As long as the body was still there, he could still be revived with the resurrection art. At most, his vitality would be greatly damaged, and he would need to recuperate for a period of time. In such a situation where they were almost beaten up, the saints of the Heavenly Way and Divine Path sect fought and retreated, finally escaping to the Karma Peak. Fortunately, the Karma Peak was only 1,000 kilometers away from the battlefield they were in. For saints who could fly 40 to 50 kilometers in a breath, it was only a distance of a dozen breaths. After all, the array formation on the Karma Peak could cover a radius of 200 to 300 kilometers. If this escape route was a little longer, not much longer, just 5,000 to 6,000 kilometers, all the saints present would have to use the teleportation art to save their lives. Once they entered the Karma Peak, the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, the Styx River Holy Man, and the rest started to pant heavily. As they looked at Xing Hui, the Chengyi Swordmaster, and the rest who did not dare to enter the Karma Peak, a look of fear flashed across their eyes. Heavenly Lord of Heartless, what's going on? Why can't you provide any reinforcements on this escape route? Sometimes you even have to let us bring you along? As the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan entered the Chaos Pavilion to contact the Son of Chaos, he turned his gaze to the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. Don't say any more. The Styx River Holy Man seemed to understand something. He looked at Xing Hui, who was outside the array formation, and said, "If I'm not wrong, the Heavenly Lord of Heartless is completely suppressed." The Heavenly Lord of Heartless' expression was a little gloomy as he said, "That's right. That Cho Xing Hui sword mind is very strong, very strong. Under the attack of his sword mind, I can barely defend myself. I can't resist at all." There was Holy Man at one side, was a little shocked as he heard this. "Heavenly Lord of Heartless, you are the most proficient cultivator of the soul amongst us. Under the attack of his sword mind, you can barely defend yourself. If he uses this method on us, all of you will be shaken to the point of instability. Then, in the moment of distraction, you will be killed instantly." The Heavenly Lord of Heartless said seriously, "That's why I have to advise all of you to prepare some defensive measures against the attack of his sword mind. Even if you don't have any similar mystical objects, you have to construct some defensive measures in your own spiritual world. Once you go out, you have to be alert at all times. Otherwise, if all of you meet him alone, I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to use the teleportation art. You will be killed instantly." The Heavenly Lord of Heartless words not only shocked the Heavenly Lord of Goodness, the was Holy Man, and even another River Holy Man. His sword mind is so strong. Even the Zhu Zhao, the Samsara Holy Master, and the Xuanji Palace Master can't kill a divine sage instantly. For those divine sages who don't have the ability to defend their souls and haven't cultivated their souls, Xing Hui is even more terrifying than the Zhu Zhao, the Samsara Holy Master, and the Xuanji Palace Master. As the Heavenly Lord of Heartless spoke, he glanced at the Karma Peak before glancing at the ball of chaotic chi that was over 100 kilometers in diameter, hovering above the Karma Peak. He said helplessly, "The Karma Peak can't be defended anymore. Let's retreat. Qing Su has such a wondrous item, so this formation will be destroyed before long. Unless a supreme expert appears on our side, we can only place our hopes on the Chaos Holy Man. Once the Chaos Holy Man uses a long time to trap the Zhu Zhao, Sangxiong, Baiheng, Chanhong, and Yuing in the Chaos Realm of Origin, he'll have time to deal with these stray dog from the Sangxiong, Jinxiong, and Baiheng Sword sect." The Heavenly Lord of Goodness clenched his fists tightly. His heart was filled with hatred and indignation. However, looking at the Xing Hui, the shadow-bearing swordmaster, the Xingyi swordmaster, and the others outside the Karma Peak, he could only lower his head helplessly and suppress this hatred in his heart. Although he was considered one of the best among the ordinary divine sages, whether it was Tsing Hui or the shadow-bearing sword master. Any one of them had the ability to kill him. If he rushed out rashly, he would only be courting death. The Divine Path sect had already lost a heavenly lord of water virtue, and the heavenly lord of cloud virtue's body had been destroyed. He needed to be revived using the resurrection technique. If anything happened to him, the Divine Path sect was almost done for. I didn't expect such a young expert to have been born in the Tianxiong domain. After we trapped the Zhu Zhao and the others, we must immediately ask the Chaos Holy Man to deal with him personally. Otherwise, if we let him continue to grow, the Divine Path sect will never have a day of peace. The Nether River Holy Man said solemnly. The others nodded their heads in agreement. In these few battles, the Divine Path sect had first lost the Zhurong Holy Man, and now the Heavenly Lord of Water Virtue. Two great experts had fallen. The last time this kind of crisis occurred was more than 60 years ago in the great battle to kill the divine beasts. However, although the Divine Path sect had lost 3 divine sages in that battle, they had killed 2 divine beasts. It was unlike this time, where 2 divine sages had died for nothing. The great situation that the Chaos Holy Man had created had been ruined into a stalemate. They escaped quickly. The shadow-bearing sword master said somewhat unwillingly. How many of them burned their domain origin this time? The consequences of burning their domain origin are not so simple to recover from. The Xingyi sword master said with a smile. He seemed to be in a good mood. That may not be so. Don't compare us with the Divine Path sect. The Divine Path sect's foundation is much stronger than ours. Burning their domain origin is very troublesome for us, but it may not be so for the Divine Path sect, the shadow-bearing sword master said. The smile on the Xingyi sword master's face faded a little when he heard this. However, he still appeared relaxed and said, although burning their domain origin may be able to recover quickly, how can they make up for the divine sages that they lost? The Divine Path sect has lost the Heavenly Lord of Water Virtue. This time, they will definitely suffer. This is also a powerful counterattack against the Divine Path sect by our 3 sections. We will dampen their arrogance. The Heavenly Lord of Water Virtue is not the first. I remember hearing that the Tsing Hui sword master killed the Zhurong Holy Man. I wonder if that's true? The shadow-bearing sword master turned to Tsing Hui and said, it should be, unless the Zhurong Holy Man is very lucky and the location that he teleported to was saved by someone, he will definitely die. Tsing Hui said. After saying that, he raised his head and glanced at the chaotic realm that was shrouded in the protective formation of the Karma Peak. He said in a deep voice, we'd better destroy this formation as soon as possible. After destroying the formation on the Karma Peak, we'll try to find a way to tear the chaotic realm apart and rescue Master Zhu Zhao and the others. The shadow-bearing sword master, Xingyi sword master, and the others nodded their heads seriously. Then, the 3 of them retreated to the point where the power of the ley line gathered. They planned to use the earth-shaking cudgel to destroy the entire Karma Peak. However, before the green ruins could completely cause this earthquake that could destroy the Karma Peak, the master of the shadow-bearing sword who would go there to investigate the enemy's movements from time to time brought back a piece of good news. The people of the Heavenly Tao and the Divine Path sect had retreated. At this moment, the only problem that they faced to save the Zhurong Holy Man, the Heavenly Lord, the Bai Hung Sword Master, the Long Rainbow Sword Master, and the Shadow Sword Master was the chaotic origin world. Happy New Year! Chapter 670. My strength is built on the shadow-bearing sword. This sword can turn me into a shadow. Simply put, it can allow me to travel through the void silently. It will automatically conceal all the fluctuations for me, allowing me to transform into the strongest shadow assassin when I wield this sword. It will be invincible. The owner of the shadow-bearing sword said regretfully, the shadow-bearing godly sword gave me a powerful assassination ability, but didn't give me a powerful offensive ability. Therefore, I'm not much stronger than Firmament Master, Anisrava Holy Man, and the others in a head-on battle. Therefore, I'm helpless against this chaotic dimension. Sword Master Xingyi added. In fact, there might not be anyone in the entire divine wilderness who can tear apart the chaos holy man's chaotic primordial realm. Among the people I know, there's also the Tai Emperor, who is unparalleled in killing and has a cultivation of the void transformation realm. Let me give it a try, Xing Hui said reluctantly. The shadow-bearing sword master and Xingyi sword master looked at each other. They were also unwilling to retreat without making a move. All right, the three of us will attack together and see if we can tear apart the chaotic origin realm. But be careful, the chaotic origin realm isn't a dead object. It's ruled by the Chaos Holy Man. In fact, the Chaos Holy Man should know that we're here. It's just that he's merged with the chaotic origin realm, or rather, he's the chaotic origin realm and has no time to take care of us. Therefore, once we see the chaotic origin realm expanding outwards, we have to retreat quickly. Sword Master Xingyi cautioned. The only thing worth rejoicing over is that the chaotic primordial realm that the Chaos Holy Man has transformed into is already separated from the divine wilderness world that we are in. Hence, it won't be easy for him to expand his territory, and he won't be able to do so quickly. We have enough time to react and retreat. Xing Hui nodded. Then, the three of them had already soared into the void. They looked at the chaotic origin chi that was constantly surging with a diameter of hundreds of kilometers above their heads with solemn expressions. Let's first accumulate our strength. After 10 breaths, we'll strike. All right. The three of them looked at each other, and the power in their bodies surged. The sword intents of Sword Master Xingyi and Sword Master Qingying exploded and seethed. They kept controlling the power of their domains and adding it to their weapons. After 10 breaths, the three of them waved their swords at the same time. At that moment, a terrifying power that could destroy the world burst out from their weapons, turning into meteors, suns, and sword lights, shooting into the chaos dimension that was over 100 kilometers in diameter. As these attacks blasted into the primal chaos realm, the airflow surrounding the primal chaos realm was directly torn apart. However, after the airflow was torn apart, more airflow surged in from all directions and poured into the torn area. For a moment, the attacks of the three seemed to have been devoured by an invisible mouth. Apart from shooting out bursts of fire from deep within the airflow and causing the surrounding primal chaos Yuan Qi to churn, they did not cause any substantial damage. Furthermore, even the earth-shattering rumble did not appear. As expected, it can't be broken. Sword Master Qingying and Sword Master Xingyi revealed a look of regret. Xing Hui, on the other hand, frowned and suddenly soared into the sky. In the next moment, he activated the light-chasing ability. The deep scarlet sword in his hand seemed to turn into a dazzling sword shadow, shooting out thousands of sword lights in an instant. Every sword light was a sword of sunlight, and the power of each sword of sunlight was not inferior to a great ability. If it hit an almighty directly, it would definitely be able to kill him on the spot. Within 10 breaths, Xing Hui brazenly slashed out over 100 times, shooting into the primal chaos realm in front of him. Over 100 swords of sunlight exploded one after another, illuminating the primal chaos realm in a dazzling light. It was like black charcoal that had been burned by fire, looking ferocious and terrifying. This, when they saw the Green Ruins Sword Master unleash sword after sword of sunlight like a storm, the shadow-bearing Sword Master and Xingyi Sword Master were immediately dumbfounded. This is the true power of Sword Master Xing Hui, such a terrifying swordsmanship ability, and it can be so fast. This is simply unreasonable. Who can block this? Who can block this swordsmanship ability? They can block one sword, but how can they block the second, third, and fourth sword that follow? An attack like that has definitely reached the level of sovereigns. If anyone dares to say that the Master of the Green Ruins sword isn't a sovereign, I'll get mad at them. No, this is no longer the level of regular sovereigns. In terms of pure attacks, the Master of the Green Ruins sword has probably surpassed those sovereigns. If it's a head-on clash, probably even esteemed Zhu Zhao, is slightly inferior to the master of the Green Ruin Sword. The two sword masters widened their eyes. At this moment, it was as if they had truly understood Tsing Hui's true strength. Unfortunately, even though Qing Su's attacks were extremely powerful, and every single slash was like a storm. Moreover, the power contained in every single slash was no weaker than a great ability, but that was all. The Chaos Element realm easily swallowed up hundreds of Tsing Hui's sunburst swords. Even Tsing Hui, who had slashed out hundreds of sunburst swords, was so tired that he was gasping for breath. However, the Chaos Element realm did not show any signs of being torn apart. It did not even show any signs of shrinking or dimming. Seeing this, the eyes of Sword Master Cheng Ying and Sword Master Xingyi, who were originally extremely shocked, quickly dimmed. Such a terrifying and storm-like attack can't do anything to the Chaos Element realm. In terms of pure attack power, Sword Master Tsing Hui's attack power is not inferior to Emperor Tai Yi's, right? Sword Master Xingyi looked a little dejected. Indeed, it's not inferior to Emperor Tai Yi's, but Emperor Tai Yi can't tear apart the Chaos Element realm. Even if 3 Emperor Tai Yi join forces, they can't do anything to the Chaos Element realm. Sword Master Cheng Ying smiled bitterly. For a moment, the two sword masters fell silent at the same time. In the vast Chaos Element realm, only Tsing Hui's exhausted gasps could be heard. This was the Chaos Element realm, and this was how terrifying Chaos Taoist Master was. Perhaps his offensive power wasn't that great, but by relying on the Chaos Primordial realm, he was definitely able to trap people. No one would be able to do anything to him. Tsing Hui, let's go back first. Let's brainstorm and see if we can come up with a solution. Sword Master Cheng Ying said. Tsing Hui raised his head and looked at the Chaos Element realm that was surging continuously. He felt a deep sense of helplessness in his heart. According to the effect of the hundreds of sunburst swords that he had slashed out, even if he had activated the divine technique and the power of his sword could shatter the vacuum, he was still a little far from truly breaking the Chaos Element realm. After all, there was a difference between the vacuum formed by his sunburst swords and the vacuum formed by a true vacuum expert. It was just like how the light of a candle could be compared to the light of a scorching sun. Immediately, the group returned to the Rainbow Sword Sect. As soon as they arrived, Sword Master Pingwang, Sword Saint Caressing, and the others quickly came forward to welcome them. At the same time, Venerable Zhu Zhao's second disciple, Yulan, and a few others from Sword Shadow also came forward to welcome them. Seeing the reaction of Tsing Hui and the others, these people seemed to have understood something. Although they did not ask, their expressions turned gloomy. In fact, you don't have to be so pessimistic. At this time, Yulan suddenly said, "We may not be able to tear the Chaos Element realm apart with ordinary methods to rescue my master, Venerable Firmament, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yuing. However, this does not mean that we are completely helpless against the Chaos Element realm. Don't forget that we have the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, and the Chaos Treasure Pavilion is rich in an item called the Heavenly Grotto Stone. If a Divine Realm expert draws out the power of the Heavenly Grotto Stone to attack, it will have a significant amplification effect on shattering the void. Therefore, as long as we accumulate enough Heavenly Grotto Stones, we may be able to tear a hole in the Chaos Element realm and rescue Venerable Zhu Zhao and the others." Heavenly Grotto Stone. Hearing Yulan's words, the eyes of Tsing Hui and the others suddenly lit up. Yes, the Heavenly Abode Stone. How could we forget about it? If we have the Heavenly Abode Stone, we will be able to unleash an attack that is close to the level of a vacuum-crushing expert. No matter how strong the chaotic realm of Chaos Holy Man is, it will be torn apart in the face of several or even a dozen vacuum-crushing attacks. Who has the Heavenly Abode Stone? I have 3 Heavenly Grotto Stones. The Heavenly Grotto Stone is a supreme treasure for escaping from the void in Turlayer. I have a spare. I have one. Our Biong Sword sect also has 3 heavenly grotto stones in storage. Soon, they had gathered 9 heavenly grotto stones. 9 heavenly grotto stones. In order to ensure that these heavenly grotto stones can unleash the greatest attack, we'd better let 9 divine realm experts attack at the same time. Sing Hui said, "At present, we still have 3 divine realm experts on our side, including Sword Master Wuxuan of the Sword Shadow sect. We have 4 people in total. Count me in. The enemy at Causal Peak has been defeated, and the place we're going to is not far from the Baihong Sword sect. Even if there is any danger, we can retreat immediately." Sword Master Pengwang said, 5 divine realm experts. We are still a little short of 9. Sword Master Xingyi said. Sing Hui suddenly thought of something and sneered. Didn't the Black Flame sect always say that they want to join the alliance of the 3 of us? Earlier on, all of you seem to be moving around. Why are there no movements all of a sudden? Black Flame sect? Sword Master Pengwang creased his eyebrows. Not long ago, we did ask for help from the Black Flame sect, hoping that they would send a divine realm expert to help. However, the Black Flame sect used the excuse that real God suffering is recuperating. The only real God is in seclusion, and the Savior real God needs to be in the sect as an excuse to not send anyone over. Now, that's not up to them. Seeing that the alliance of the 3 of us has become stronger, they're thinking of ways to join our alliance to seek protection. Now that we need them to mobilize their power, they're looking for all sorts of reasons and excuses. They are afraid of the slightest thing. Sing Hui stood up and said sternly, "I will make a trip to the Black Flame sect personally. I would like to see if real God suffering is really recuperating and if the only real God is in seclusion." Chaotic Holy Man. I can stand here and let you guys hit me, but you won't be able to move. Chapter 671. Black Flame Sect. At that very moment, the 3 Holiness Real Gods and Black Flame sect were restless. Real God suffering Real God had fallen into Tsing Hui's hands and was extorted by Tsing Hui of 1,500 Taoist rhyme items. He had emptied the entire Black Flame sect. Theoretically, he hated the alliance between Tianxiong, Baihong Sword sect, and Sword Shadow the most. However, in actual fact, after knowing that Tsing Hui's real cultivation time was less than 40 years, he was the one who advocated the alliance with Tianxiong and Baihong Sword sect the most. Real God Savior, on the other hand, was against it. At that very moment, Real God Savior was venting his dissatisfaction in the meeting hall. Real God Suffering, don't forget how Tianxiong treated Black Flame sect back then. Because of you, not only did he steal 1,500 Taoist rhyme items from Black Flame sect, he even forced us to hand over Qixin Dharma King and let them do whatever they want with him. Until now, there are people in the sect who are complaining about this. A few Dharma Kings have already disagreed with Black Flame sect. If something like this were to happen a few more times, the entire Black Flame sect would fall apart. Is that what you want to see? Real God Savior. That's not what I meant. The reason why Qixin Dharma King joined Black Flame sect was to seek protection from Black Flame sect. However, over the years, not only did he not bring any benefits to Black Flame sect, but he also attracted a terrifying enemy like Sword Master Tsing Hui. He forced Black Flame sect to lose 1,500 Taoist rhyme items. It's completely reasonable for us to hand them over. However, since we've already discussed the alliance with Tianxiong, Baihong Sword sect, and Sword Shadow, we should advance and retreat together. Now that Tianxiong Master and Zhuzhao Master, Baihong Sword Master and Long Rainbow Sword Master, and Sword Master Shadow of Sword Shadow are trapped by Chaos Holy Man, Black Flame sect should display the value of Black Flame sect at this crucial moment, so that we can enter the core of the alliance and gain their trust. From now on, we'll advance and retreat together. True God, suffering true God, earnestly advised. You said it yourself. The one who trapped Master Firmament, Master Zhuzhao, Master Baihong, and the others is the Chaos Holy Man. What kind of person is the Chaos Holy Man? The leader of the heavenly way, the the #1 expert in the heavenly way, and one of the top 3 ultimate experts. If we, the Black Flame sect, were to interfere in this war, we would be doomed eternally if we were not careful. Furthermore, even if we, the Black Flame sect, wanted to interfere in this war, do you think that we would be able to help? Right now, our Black Flame sect did not pursue the matter of them extorting $1,500 dirhams from us. Instead, we maintained our neutrality. This is already giving them enough face. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll have to go to the Sky Dome realm and demand an explanation from them for what happened back then. It's easy to add flowers to embroidery, but difficult to provide timely help. Currently, Sky Dome sect, Rainbow Sword sect, and Shadow Sword sect are indeed in a difficult situation. However, as the saying goes, hardship reveals a person's heart. At this time, if our Black Flame sect can express our attitude, we will be able to gain the trust of Sky Dome sect, Rainbow Sword sect, and Shadow Sword sect. As True God Suffering said this, he seemed to feel that this meaningless argument would not help the entire situation. He stood up and was too lazy to continue. True God of Salvation, if you're not willing to go, I will go alone. Hold on. True God Suffering, you are one of the 3 true gods in our Black Flame sect. If you were to go, it would be tantamount to representing our Black Flame sect's attitude. By then, even if our Black Flame sect wanted to stay out of the matter, they would definitely not let our Black Flame sect off in the revenge attack from Tian Dao. Hence, you can't go. True God of Salvation stood up and shouted, "Revenge attack? I think the target of revenge that you need to pay attention to isn't Tian Dao, but Sky Dome. Or rather, Sword Owner Tsing Hui from Sky Dome. You only see how powerful Tian Dao is, but you don't see the potential of Sky Dome sect, Rainbow Sword sect, and the other powerhouses." True God Suffering said in a deep voice, "Don't forget, what kind of person is esteemed Zhu Zhao? He is the most talented divine being. He was once known as the #1 person in the divine wilderness. After esteemed Zhu Zhao, who is the most talented person in the divine wilderness? Sword Owner by Heng. Tian Dao was afraid of Sword Owner by Heng's potential. Hence, it allowed the Divine Path sect, which they controlled, to target Rainbow Sword sect and suppress Sword Owner by Heng's growth space. After Sword Owner by Heng, who is the #1 person in the younger generation? Tsing Hui, the master of the green ruined sword in the sky, a person who has cultivated for less than 40 years, is an invincible existence who can rival saints and even surpass regular saints. I believe you've heard about the news from the Conley continent, right? An ultimate expert, a new ultimate expert, an existence whose talent is even more terrifying than Sword Owner by Heng's. He is the #1 person in the divine wilderness with the most potential in the 3rd generation. They are all in this alliance. Now we have a chance to completely integrate into this alliance and gain their trust. Why should we not hold on to it and remain indifferent? True God Suffering's words caused True God of Salvation's expression to change slightly. The only true God, who had not expressed his position, thought carefully and was shocked. The #1 person in our generation, the next generation, and the generation after that are all in this alliance. If this alliance can really survive this calamity, their future prospects are limitless. The Savior True God also noticed this. Although his face was a little pale, he was still unwilling to give in. We'll have to wait until they get through this crisis. If their alliance can really get through this crisis, I have no objection to the Black Flame sect joining them. But now, short-sighted, True God Suffering shouted, "Salvation, you have really disappointed me. Ignoring the fact that if this alliance survives this calamity, we will not be able to easily gain their trust. Even if they can't survive this calamity, so what? Let me tell you, the most terrifying person in their entire alliance isn't the Illuminator. Even though the Illuminator can be called the greatest of the saints, he's already advanced in age, and the upper limit of his growth has already been fixed. Moreover, the greatest threat isn't Swordmaster by Heng either. Even though Swordmaster by Heng possesses battle prowess close to a sovereign, he seems extremely young, and his talent is indisputable, but he's still within the scope of our understanding. Out of the three sects, the Celestial Dome sect, the Fogbow Sword sect, and the Sword Shadow sect, the most shocking, unbelievable, and despair-inducing person is the Green Ruins Swordmaster. It's true that the esteemed Zhu Zhao and the Swordmaster by Hong are trapped. Even if they die in the future, as long as the Swordmaster Qingsu is fine, their alliance will definitely rise up again and crush the heavenly ways. Sword owner Tsinghui, true god of salvation, was shocked. However, when he thought about Qingsu's legendary past, the only true god could no longer sit still. He immediately said sternly, "I agree with true god of suffering, true god of salvation. If you really don't want to show yourself, you can activate the protective formation and stay in the Black Flame sect. True god of suffering, and I will lead the elites of the sect to the White Rainbow Sword sect as reinforcements." True God Suffering saw that the one true God was finally convinced, and his face was instantly filled with joy. He quickly said, Okay. We will go and gather the people now." True God of Salvation opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, he saw that True God Suffering and the one true God had already made up their minds. He could only remain silent and did not speak anymore. At this moment, the Master of Purification of Black Flame sect flew over and quickly reported, "Three true gods. There is news from the Karma Peak battlefield. Swordmaster Tsinghui, Swordmaster Chengying, and Swordmaster Xingyi have entered the Karma Peak and fought with Heavenly Lord Wuqing, Styx River Holy Man, Wu Se Holy Man, Heavenly Lord Shangshan, Heavenly Lord Yunda, and Heavenly Lord Shueda. In this battle, Heavenly Lord Shueda was killed by Swordmaster Tsinghui, while Heavenly Lord Yunda's physical body was destroyed by the Swordmaster Chengying. The Heavenly Dao was defeated and retreated from the Karma Peak battlefield. Currently, they are all hiding in the Divine Path sect. Defeated? The Heavenly Dao was defeated? The six sages, including the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, the Styx River Holy Man, and the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, were actually defeated by the Green Ruin Swordmaster, the Shadow-bearing Swordmaster, and the Xingyi Swordmaster? How is this possible? Quick, what was the scene of that battle? Quickly tell me. The world's Savior True God, the one true God, and the suffering true God hurried him. Afterwards, the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness, the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness, the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, and the Styx River Holy Man all moved together to kill the Green Ruin Swordmaster. However, the Green Ruin Swordmaster was able to kill the Styx River Holy Man with a single strike. However, the Green Ruin Swordmaster was slain by the Green Ruin Swordmaster with a single strike, but the Green Ruin Swordmaster was able to revive the Styx River Holy Man due to his art of backtracking, forcing the other saints to retreat. At the same time, the Shadow-bearing Swordmaster and the Xingyi Swordmaster tore through the Styx River Holy Man's colorless realm. The two of them unleashed their might and defeated the Heavenly Lord of the Heavenly Cloud Holy Man. As they fled, the Heavenly Lord of the Virtue of Cloud was slain by a single strike from the Shadow-bearing Swordmaster. If the Styx River Holy Man had not reacted extremely quickly and saved his corpse, the Heavenly Lord of the Virtue of Cloud probably would not even be left of his corpse. Hiss! The suffering true God, the one true God, and the world Savior true God all sucked in a breath of cold air. Tsinghui. Not only was he safe and sound under the combined attack of Heavenly Lord Wuqing, Styx River Holy Man, Heavenly Lord Shangshan, Heavenly Lord Shud, and Heavenly Lord Yunda, he even killed Heavenly Lord Shud. Heavenly Lord Wuqing, Styx River Holy Man, and Heavenly Lord Shangshan were the cream of the crop among the divine sages. When the three of them teamed up, even great sages like the Holy Master of the Bottomless Utopia, Jade Emperor Holy Man, Swordmaster Chengying, and Sun Moon Divine King had to avoid them. However, Tsinghui not only fought the three of them head-on, he even killed one of them with the help of Swordmaster Shud and Yunda. This battle power, the Green Ruins Swordmaster's strength, is probably on par with Venerable Zhu Zhao, the Samsara Lord, and the Hall Master of the Four Stars Hall. The one true God said softly, The world Savior true God and the suffering true God were silent. After a while, the world Savior true God, who had been against the Black Flame sect joining the war, said somewhat awkwardly, "True gods, please bring our Black Flame sect's guardian kings to the Rainbow Sword sect to help." Chapter 672. At this moment, Tsing Hui was flying towards the Black Flame sect. He had no idea what was going on in the sect. However, not long after Tsing Hui flew towards the Black Flame sect, the commotion in the Primal Chaos Divine Palace startled Tsing Hui. He quickly sent a part of his consciousness into the Sky Dome realm. Although the Firmament Master was trapped in the Primal Chaos realm, his Sky Dome realm was embedded in the Primal Chaos Divine Palace. He had given Zhongzhen, the Venerable Master, and the others extremely high authority to use it. It was not that it no longer existed, it was just that the Firmament Master himself could not sense the connection between the Primal Chaos Divine Palace and the Sky Dome realm. "Venerable Master, what's the matter?" Tsing Hui stepped into the Sky Dome realm and saw the anxious Zhongzhen, the Venerable Master, so he immediately asked, "Tsing Hui, those bastards from the Divine Ghost sect are going to take revenge on us for sneaking in and stealing the innate charm. 4 of our resource points were stolen, and the cultivators guarding the points were all killed. 3 of our powerful figures were even hunted down by the Divine Ghost sect. Only Bai Qi escaped with Lan Rui's help." Zhongzhen, the Venerable Master's eyes were filled with anger and killing intent. Killing Almighties is equivalent to declaring war on the other party's forces. If no Almighties died, Tianxiong could still avoid it and hand over those resource points. However, he has actually killed 2 of our Almighties. We have no choice but to respond to this matter. Otherwise, the other forces will probably think that Tianxiong is too weak to resist and try to bite off a piece of meat from Tianxiong. When Qing Su heard that, he immediately understood the severity of the matter. The Divine Ghost sect could be said to be taking revenge for sneaking into the Divine Ghost sect and stealing their innate charm. However, if the Divine Ghost sect did not retaliate and let the other forces of Infinite Wasteland know that the Divine Ghost sect had to face revenge after being enraged, the other forces would probably take action one after another. Once the situation developed, no matter how strong the Divine Ghost sect was, they would not be able to turn the situation around. Therefore, the Divine Ghost sect not only had to retaliate, but also had to do their best to inflict pain on the enemy. Only by killing the chicken to warn the monkey could the onlooking forces be intimidated and let them know the price they had to pay for humiliating the Divine Ghost sect. "I understand." Tsing Hui's expression turned cold. "I will make the God Ghost sect pay the price. I've already heard about what happened at the Karma Peak battlefield. I'll use Sky Dome's channels to spread the news of that battle, letting the world know that we, Sky Dome, still have a supreme expert like you. However, if you can retaliate against the Divine Ghost sect at this time, I believe that the effect will be even more obvious. So obvious that as long as you're still in our Sky Dome, there won't be any other power in the entire Divine Wilderness that will dare to provoke our Sky Dome." Master Zhongzhen said ruthlessly. Tsing Hui nodded slightly. "I will go to the Divine Ghost sect now. Do you need any help?" "No need," Tsing Hui said. His consciousness returned to his body, and he was about to change directions and head towards the God Demon Gate. However, at this moment, he seemed to have sensed something and immediately looked towards the horizon. Not long after, a huge battleship carrying a large number of experts was flying towards the Rainbow Sword sect. On the battleship, Tsing Hui sensed 2 familiar auras, Real God Suffering and Real God Only. The Black Flames sect's battleship? Tsing Hui muttered to himself and looked in the direction of the Black Flames sect's battleship. He stopped temporarily and waited in the void. Not long after, the Black Flames sect noticed where Tsing Hui was. When they saw that it was Tsing Hui, Real God Suffering and Real God Only seemed to have thought of something, and their faces suddenly changed. They looked at each other and let out a sigh of relief. They were both glad that they had sent troops to assist the Rainbow Sword sect without hesitation. The two of them then quickly flew in front of Tsing Hui and bowed to him from afar. Greetings, Sword Master Tsing Hui. This place is less than 6,000 kilometers away from the Rainbow Sword sect. Real God suffering and real God only are heading towards the Rainbow Sword sect? Tsing Hui looked at the two great saints who flew in front of him and asked calmly. Yes, we received news not long ago that the heavenly Tao had trapped Master Firmament, Master Candlelight, Sword Master Bai Hung, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Shadow's Sword Master Yuing on the Karma Peak. We immediately gathered the experts scattered throughout the sect and specially headed to the White Rainbow Sword sect to see if we can help. Real God Suffering said sincerely. Oh, is that so? Tsing Hui saw. Although he didn't understand why the Black Flame sect had changed their mind, he couldn't force them since the two great saints were so tactful. However, as the Black Flame sect had other intentions, he had to intimidate them. There's nothing big happening at the Rainbow Sword sect for now. However, there's something I need to deal with at the Divine Ghost sect. I originally planned to deal with it alone, but after considering some things, it's not too convenient for me to deal with it alone. Now that I've met you all from the Black Flame sect, I'll have to trouble you all to follow me to the Divine Ghost sect, to the Ghost God sect. Real God Suffering was stunned. Aren't we going to provide assistance to the Rainbow Sword sect? The Rainbow Sword sect has Sword Master Cheng Ying, Sword Master Xing Yi, and Sword Master Peng Guang. They're very safe now. I believe that Tian Dao, who lost a great saint, won't have the guts to fight back against the Rainbow Sword sect. Instead, it's the Ghost God sect who dares to provoke us and kill our almighties. I'll let them know the price they have to pay for offending us. The Ghost God sect killed their almighties? Real God Suffering was shocked. However, he reacted quickly. Not everyone was like the Black Flame sect, constantly paying attention to the changes in the Karma Peak battlefield. If they waited for a day or two, the news of the battle on the Karma Peak would spread. After learning of Tsing Hui's true strength, the Ghost God sect might not have the courage to provoke Tian Dao. Unfortunately, the Ghost God sect didn't have much patience. After realizing that the first Dao Master of Tian Dao, Chaos Dao Master, had personally taken action and trapped Tian Dao's esteemed Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Tian Dao, Sword Master Bai Hung, and Sword Master Long Rainbow, as well as Sword Master Yuing in the Chaos Dimension, they couldn't wait to take revenge on Tian Dao. They even mercilessly killed the two almighties of Tian Dao. Now, it was time for them to pay for what they had done. We're willing to follow Sword Master Tsing Hui to the Ghost God sect and fight against them. Real God Suffering's mind spun quickly. In a short while, he made a decision without hesitation. Very well, Tsing Hui replied indifferently. Then, let's not delay any further. We'll split into two. The two of you will follow me, while your battleship will turn around and head to the Ghost God sect. When they arrive, I reckon the Ghost God sect will be almost done. Almost done? What did he mean by almost done? Real God Suffering and Real God One were shocked. However, they didn't dare to go against Tsing Hui's words. All right, we'll do as Sword Master Tsing Hui said. The two divine true gods agreed and gave orders to the few celestial phenomenon and Earth-class experts on the battleship. Soon, they left and returned to Tsing Hui's side. They followed Tsing Hui and headed toward the Ghost God sect. The Ghost God sect, Black Flame cult, Divine Path sect, Rainbow Sword sect, and Sky Dome sect's base weren't too far apart from each other. They were all in a large region. In addition, with the Divine Realm experts flying at full speed, they could cover tens of thousands of kilometers in 2 hours. Hence, in less than 4 hours, Tsing Hui, Real God Suffering, and Real God One were already near the mountain gate of the Ghost God sect. Sword Master Tsing Hui, are we going to challenge them directly? Or are we going to investigate the almighties outside the Ghost God sect? Target a few of them and kill them one by one. We'll give them a taste of their own medicine. Real God Suffering asked. There's no need for that. Tsing Hui used the aura gazing technique and looked at the Ghost God sect for a while. Finally, he stopped at a mountain peak 1,800 kilometers away from the Ghost God sect. This mountain peak was the intersection point of the Ghost God sect's Earth Vein Chi. Even though the Ghost God sect's protective formation was of a high level and had the ability to absorb energy from the void, as long as Tsing Hui could destroy all the Earth Vein Chi. Even if he couldn't completely destroy the Ghost God sect protective formation, he would be able to destroy most of it. Most importantly, with the earthquake, the many palaces, pavilions, and courtyards built in the Ghost God sect would definitely collapse. Even though the collapse would be slow and wouldn't hurt the disciples of the Ghost God sect, if more than half of the mountain gate was destroyed, it would still make the Ghost God sect go crazy. You two, keep an eye on them. If the gods of the Ghost God sect fly out, inform me immediately. Tsing Hui said. The gods of the Ghost God sect fly out? Real God Suffering and Real God One were slightly stunned. The Divine Ghost sect had 3 saints on their side, and they had 3 saints on their side as well. Among them, Qing Su was one of the more outstanding saints. So why would the Divine Ghost sect give up on the advantage of their protective formation and leave the range of the formation to fight them? Although they were somewhat suspicious, Real God Suffering and Real God One did not say anything. They continued to wait patiently. Meanwhile, Tsing Hui took out the ground shaking stick again. Circulating his true yuan, he smashed it towards the ground. Rumble. Under the injection of Tsing Hui's dense true yuan, 100-meter-wide crack appeared in the ground in front of him. An unending stream of vibrating energy spread towards the crack and into the ground, causing the ground to rumble. However, this was only the beginning. As Tsing Hui smashed the ground again and again with the ground-shaking stick, the vibrating energy continued to accumulate underground and rapidly spread towards the Ghost God sect. This caused the ground in the direction of the Ghost God sect to shake visibly. It was as if there was an immemorial, ferocious beast rolling and rolling in the depths of the ground. This caused the birds and beasts within 1,800 kilometers from Tsing Hui to the Ghost God sect to panic and flee in fear. This is Real God Suffering and Real God One were both saints. After observing carefully for a moment, they immediately understood what Tsing Hui was doing. At that moment, both of their faces were filled with shock. Swordmaster Tsing Hui is trying to destroy the foundation of the Ghost God sect. Unless the Ghost God sect is willing to watch their foundation be destroyed, they have no choice but to come out and fight. Real God One's face was filled with fear. At this moment, he felt extremely fortunate that he had listened to the true God of Tribulation's advice at a crucial moment and led the experts to assist the White Rainbow Sword sect. Otherwise, if Qing Su used this method in the Black Flame sect, how was the Black Flame sect supposed to fend it off? If this method caused the protective formation of the Black Flame sect to collapse by half, at that time, the 3 of them would definitely not be his opponent under the slaughter of a supreme expert like Qing Su. The entire Black Flame sect would face destruction as a result. Chapter 673. In truth, when the vibrations were transmitted to the Divine Ghost sect, the Divine Ghost sect found it strange at first, but they did not pay much attention to it. After all, such vibrations existed from time to time, so it was not worth making a fuss about. However, as time went on, the tremors grew stronger and stronger. It was already enough to shatter some porcelain and glass products, so the Divine Ghost sect immediately began to pay attention to it. As a Golden Core Elder led a group of people to discover that Qing Su, true God of suffering, and true God only had appeared outside the Divine Ghost sect, the entire sect rapidly became nervous. The wheel of life and death formation that had originally only been activated but not operated at its maximum capacity was immediately activated to the limit. Many saint disciples and Golden Core elders stepped into the formation as soon as possible to maintain its operation. Even the powerful existences were responsible for guiding the formation, causing it to become a domain of death. Coupled with the constellation God King Calamity Battle, and God King Violence, Earthly Violence, let alone the three of them. The divine ghost sect did not fear them at all, even if there were twice or even 3 times as many saints who came. What is Tsinghui doing? Also, why are suffering true God and only true God of the Black Flame sect with him? Don't they know that Tianxiong is now a lone boat in a storm, in danger of capsizing at any time? Constellation Divine King hovered in the formation, feeling the vibrations that spread out endlessly. His expression was grave. Constellation Divine King, I don't know what that kid is doing, but I'm afraid we can't continue like this. The vibrations are getting stronger and stronger, and it's still accumulating. If we continue to do nothing, when the energy accumulates to a sufficient degree and explodes, the mountains will collapse. Even our divine ghost sect's life and death wheel formation will be affected, and most of the buildings, pavilions, and palaces in our sect will collapse. Violence Divine King's expression was ugly. He was the only person in the divine ghost sect who knew a little about formations. Although he was not a master, he had seen through Tsinghui's sinister intentions. You mean, Tsinghui is using a method to destroy our divine ghost sect's life and death wheel formation from 1,000 kilometers away? He can't completely destroy it, but it's easy to greatly weaken the formation. Violence Divine King said. Damn it. They only have 3 divine sages on their side. Although Tsinghui is rumored to be powerful, he is still young. I don't believe that he can be that powerful. Reaching the level of Firmament Master is his limit. The 3 of us will attack together and destroy the thing that caused the earthquake. Then we will return to the mountain gate as fast as we can. That way, Tsinghui won't have the guts to chase after us. God King Calamity said. Now that things have come to this, this is the only way. Let Wang Qicheng lead the team and send all the lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth experts into the lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth immediately. They will be responsible for receiving us from 100 kilometers away. Under Constellation Deity King's command, the 3 great saints soared into the sky at the same time. They transformed into flowing lights and charged in the direction of Tsinghui, Real God Suffering and Real God One. They're here. Swordmaster Tsinghui. The 3 God Kings of the Divine Ghost Sect have arrived. Real God Suffering sensed the 3 powerful auras approaching quickly and shouted, finally willing to come out? However, since they're already here, it would be wishful thinking to leave no one behind. If I remember correctly, the one with the weakest divine soul among the 3 God Kings of the Divine Ghost Sect is Violence Divine King. That's Violence Divine King. Very good. Real God Suffering, Real God One. I'll leave Constellation Divine King and Calamity Divine King to you. I don't expect you to defeat the 2 of them, but you have to hold them back. Do you understand? Real God One and Real God Suffering compared their strength with Constellation Divine King and Calamity Divine Kings and said without hesitation, all right, we will do our best to hold them back and not let them interfere with you, Swordmaster Tsinghui. Very good. Tsinghui controlled the earth-shaking rod in his hand as he looked towards the horizon. Very soon, Constellation Divine King, Violence Divine King, and Calamity Divine King appeared at the horizon. The 3 of them looked at Tsinghui immediately. To be exact, they looked at the earth-shaking rod that Tsinghui was hitting the ground continuously. Their eyes lit up at once. That's the thing. According to my senses, this thing needs to hit the ground continuously to accumulate enough power of vibration before it explodes in one go. Only then can it cause a destructive attack on the power of the ley lines in the surrounding area and cause a disaster like a landslide. As long as we can interrupt him, it won't take too long, just a dozen breaths' time. The power of vibration will dissipate quickly. By then, he will have to gather the power of vibration again, and it will take him half a day's time. When he gathers the power of vibration, we'll disturb him again and see what he can do. All right, there's no time to lose. The 3 of us will attack at the same time and interrupt him. Divine King Calamity Divine King said and pounced towards Tsinghui quickly. Very good. When Xing Su saw the constellation Divine King, Divine King Calamity, Divine King, and Divine King Violence, Divine King actually charged towards him. He immediately understood their intentions. He directly put the earth-shaking rod away. True God of suffering, true God of one. Understood. The two true gods immediately soared into the sky, and their territory power exploded. The two territories were like two stars with a diameter of tens of kilometers. They brazenly collided with the territories of Constellation Divine King and Calamity Divine King. Although the collision between territories was not as intense as a comet colliding with Earth, at the edge of the collision, there were still ripples that could be seen with the naked eye spreading out. At the core of the collision, the territories and territories devoured each other and canceled each other out. It was even more dangerous. At this moment, if there was some reckless saint cultivator who dared to step into the center of the intersection of the territories, he would definitely be killed by the territories in an instant. You're just a junior. Do you really think that you can challenge a divine just because you have some ability? Violent demons roar. Just as Constellation Divine King and Calamity Divine King were holding back suffering true God and one true God, Violence Divine King had already pounced down. His territory swept out, and he directly turned into a pitch-black and hazy monster in the void. It was as though he was looking at a monster that was half awake, yet half awake. The moment he was seen by this monster, the hostility, murderous intent, and fear in the cultivator's heart would all be drawn out. In addition, when the violent demon's roar let out a soundless roar, it formed a sound wave impact that caused Sing Hui's eardrums to hurt. He had the misconception that his brain was about to be torn apart. Soundwave attack? Sing Hui had originally planned to wait for Violence Divine King to get closer before killing him in one strike. However, when he sensed that Violence Divine King's attack was so strange and impossible to guard against, he immediately stopped holding back. While the ultimate sword principle allowed him to possess powerful attack techniques, his defense was greatly weakened. Just like Violence Divine King's violent demon's roar, although the sound wave would affect a divine state expert, after being weakened by the territory power, it would only be some noise when it landed in the ears of a divine state expert. At most, it would weaken the divine state expert's territory power. However, to Sing Hui, before he got too close, the sound wave had already caused Sing Hui's brain to hurt, forcing him to quickly draw his sword. Clang! The deep scarlet sword hummed. A resonant sword hum instantly spread out in the void. It carried a kind of high-spirited aura as it soared into the clouds, suppressing most of the violent demon's roar's sound wave. Chasing light. As the sword roared, Sing Hui's divine ability, chasing light, erupted. Body and sword became one, shooting out in an instant. In almost the blink of an eye, he had already traversed over 10 kilometers, ruthlessly crashing into Violence Divine King's territory. Just as Violence Divine King was about to activate his territory power to kill him in shock, the Scarlet Abyss sword light had already erupted in full force. It carried with it a blazing and terrifying heat flow, wildly evaporating Violence Divine King's territory at a terrifying speed. Almost at the instant the two clashed, Violence Divine King's territory had already been torn open by at least 10 kilometers. The distance between the two was actually less than half. Such terrifying speed and the terrifying might that tore through the territory like a hot knife through butter immediately caused Violence Divine King, who had planned on suppressing Sing Hui's arrogance, to change his expression. Not good. As the territory power surged wildly, Violence Divine King retreated rapidly. Rumble. Almost at the same time he retreated, the might of Sing Hui's sword immediately descended. It was as if the scorching sun was high in the sky, illuminating the world. Endless radiance instantly shone into Violence Divine King's spiritual world. Many phantoms of gods and demons in Violence Divine King's spiritual world roared in vain as they attempted to resist this resplendent radiance that illuminated all life. However, upon contact, they were instantly evaporated, like snow that was exposed to the scorching sun, instantly melting away. By the time he shook his spiritual world and expelled this resplendent, scorching sun from his spiritual world, a scorching heat that was enough to incinerate his body was already less than 100 meters away from him. Seeing the scorching sun rapidly expand in his eyes, Violence Divine King was greatly alarmed. Without hesitation, he raised his chaos level to level 30 and was about to activate the teleportation technique. As for Tsinghui, he felt somewhat regretful when he saw Violence Divine King regain consciousness. In the end, he had attacked a little too early. Even though his sword intent could shake up the spiritual world of a Saint Realm powerhouse and cause them to lose focus for a moment, he needed time to approach his opponent and time to tear apart his territory. If he had used his sword intent after tearing apart his territory, he would have definitely been able to kill him in that moment of distraction. However, if he had used the might of his sword intent before he had broken through his territory, his opponent would have shaken off his sword intent attack and regained consciousness by the time he destroyed his territory. What a pity! As Tsinghui thought to himself, he planned to use the Grief Parting Realm. Even if he could not kill Violence Divine King, he would have to use the Grief Parting Realm to disrupt his teleportation technique, trapping him in a layer of space and preventing him from attacking for a short period of time. However, just as he was about to use the Grief Parting Realm, he suddenly felt an intense sense of danger. At some point, Violence Divine King had actually split into two. One of his clones was entangled with the only true God, while his main body had silently charged behind Tsinghui. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that Tsinghui was completely focused on Violence Divine King to kill him in a single blow. Most importantly of all, in order to ensure that his sneak attack was stealthy and fatal, he did not use the power of his territory. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.